Watching Outlaws with Rebecca Hargraves and Devon Stack.
Hey, hey.
They got it, Stack. The show that almost didn't happen. I'm sorry about my audio quality. I can't make my mic work. It's not a girl problem. It might
It's a
be.
girl problem. It's women are the natural enemies of technology.
I don't know what to tell you, man. This shit doesn't work. So I have to use my lapel mic. My apologies to all. It's not Devon's fault. That's the important thing. It's not Devon's fault.
It sounds okay. Okay enough. People
Good
just
enough.
have to use their imagination and pretend it like you're trapped in some metal room.
I am trapped in a metal room.
Like some I don't know, Abu Ghraib style cell somewhere.
Boy, this story that we're talking about today took some twists and turns during the research. I was like, based, not based, based again. I went through the whole range of emotions on the Know Nothing party.
Yeah, so we wanted to look at maybe some movements from the past where they were pro heritage Americans or at the very least pro white and against immigration, and what were maybe some of the earliest efforts and how did it go, that sort of a thing. And one of the first big efforts, I guess you could say, you could even say it for a moment, successful, was the Know Nothing Party.
Yeah. So fundamentally, they were an anti-immigrant, anti-Catholic party. That was their basis. But you have to keep in mind that in the 1840s and 50s, the state of demographics was entirely different. So we were getting a massive influx of Catholic Irish immigrants. And because of the potato famine and the quality of people coming over here, they accounted for a massive amount of crime, which we'll talk about in a second. So on the surface, the Know Nothing Party appeared to be a nativist party, but they had problems that we're going to discuss. They got their name because it was a secret society. It started as the Order of the Star Spangled Banner. I think they had a handshake and everything like that, proper vetting. And when people would ask, like, who's in the party? What's the party about? They'd be like, I know nothing. It was used as a pejorative term in media, but it kind of caught on in the general lexicon.
Like calling them deplorables.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
it became a formal political party.
Yeah, but we'll get to that in a second. One thing I wanted to bring up, just because I think it's funny, this flag that's up that says Native Americans, which, by the way, that's what they called founding stock Americans, back then. Beware foreign influence. So many of the stupid Nick Slop accounts, like on Twitter, that just like they only exist there. I mean, I don't want to say they're like automated, so I don't know if they're bots per se, but they just exist to like tweet Nick Slop all day long. They have this. I noticed when I was blocking them during the great blocking of November of last year, a lot of them had this as their bio banner. And it's hilarious because they're literally using the flag of a group that existed to kick Catholics out of the country. So I just thought that was the irony was. Whoops. Yet another stupid thing that we're going to use the flag of an anti-Catholic movement in our Catholic group.
Is pretty sweet.
It is a cool flag. But anyway, to give you some context of kind of what, we mentioned the immigration a little bit, but also a lot of it too was the fact that mass transit was kind of a new thing in the 1840s. You had the railroads finally being built, and you also had, in the 1840s, you had the 49ers, the gold rush in California. And so during the 1840s, when all the gold rush, gold panners and gold miners out in California, which they finally had access to California because of the railroad system, they were shipping lots of gold back east, and the gold was entering the economy rapidly, which caused a lot of inflation, which, made the prices of everything kind of go up. It's kind of funny because when you look at this, there's a lot of similarities to like, I mean, obviously we don't have like a gold rush, but there's a lot of, as they say, history doesn't repeat, it rhymes. There's a lot of rhyming historical context in the 1840s and today, as you'll see. But inflation was going crazy. And at the same time that this was going on, you also had, because of the railroad system, a lot of these small business owners going out of business because let's say you are some local, I mean, it's kind of like what happened with Walmart. Like, let's say you're a local blacksmith and, you did smithing work for whatever it cost you to do it back then. You had some family business for decades or whatever. And then all of a sudden you're up against like Acme, mega corporation out of New York that has like some big factory that pumps out horseshoes by the thousands or whatever. Now that company can just load all those horseshoes onto a train and ship them out into the interior of the United States where they couldn't get their products to. And so a lot of these mom and pops that used to be able to stay in business locally were going out of business because of the capabilities that the train system was giving these bigger companies.
Right. Which also bolstered manufacturing in a huge way. So there was a lot of the middle skilled artisans and things like that. They were getting pushed out because everything was getting filled through these like low skilled manufacturing plants, which was relatively new to America.
Right. Like if you were some guy that could make a shovel, for everyone in town, like that was part of your job. And then you're up against some guy that can crank out 1 billion shit shovels for like $1, that it's literally, it was like Walmart going to a small town is what was going on. It was
exactly.
Or maybe even manufacturing going to China or something like that. Now, simultaneously with this, you also had a bunch of immigration coming in from filthy Catholic countries like Ireland. So you had a bunch of potato nigs coming in, and some dirty little krauts were sneaking across. So that in fact it wasn't just a little bit. So here's the immigration to give an idea of how much it changed in just a short period of time. In 1820, imagine having these numbers. In 1820, total immigration for a year, 8,385.
Oh, what a dream.
That's like, we can handle that. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with 8,000 Europeans coming in a year like that. We can handle that. But it more than doubled in 1830. And then it quadrupled from the previous decade by 1840, and then it went up to so from 8,000 in 1820, we hit a peak of almost 500,000.
Yeah.
And so this was brought on because of the potato famine, and because of you had some political problems in Germany. And so you had a lot of these people coming in a lot of them were Irish, or well, most of them I'd say it was more Irish than it was German. And a lot of them were Catholic. And despite what a lot of these stupid Catholic nationalists that always like have some LARP about America's a Catholic country. No, it actually literally never was.
No. I have some stats on that when you're ready.
Oh yeah, go for it.
Okay, so between 1600 and 1700, there were a few hundred Catholics here, just a few hundred.
Yeah.
In 1700, the only Catholic hub in Maryland had 3,000 Catholics out of 30,000 people, so it was about 10%. Pennsylvania had almost none. There were about 10 to 26,000, mostly in Maryland, by 1765, and 40,000 by the Revolution. And then... let's see. Let's get to the big part. By 1820, 195,000. 1830, 500,000. By 1850, 1.6 million. And then by 1860, over 3 million. So 1890 tripled from 1860 because of immigration and high birth rates. And then by the turn of the century, 12 million. So this is, I'm Catholic. This is not a Catholic country. Basically, none of the heritage Americans were Catholic.
No, and in fact, one of the intolerable acts when the colonists decided to go to war against King George, they listed as one of the reasons they were going to war with England was that he was allowing Catholics into the country. Like that was one of the reasons that we had the Revolutionary War, was because Catholics were coming.
And I'm not really sure, because I have to say this begrudgingly since I am Catholic. I'm not sure how much this had to do with Catholicism and how much it had to do with the Irish. So I have some stats on Irish crime, if you want to talk about that now.
Right. So, well, I would say there was one specific problem that they did have. You got to remember, people were way more religious back then, and they did have a problem with Romanism. They did have a fear of, the Vatican, Pope sending all these Catholics and then trying to colonize America as like a Catholic colony, basically. There were religious fears, and there was also the difference in how the Bible versions that they were using, and there were fights about, because this is back when they still used the Bible in school, and the Catholics would come and get mad because they were using the King James version of the Bible, and they wanted to use their Bible, and so like a lot of it was just like, honestly, it just resembles a lot of like the cringe religious fighting you see on Twitter times like a million. And so there were some religious issues, but it wasn't just, obviously compared to, and we'll get into this in a second too, compared to like importing a bunch of black people, this wasn't like the big deal that they were making it out to be, but they didn't know how good they had it. And I think as you say, a lot of it had to do with the fact that, I think it was two-pronged. One was the crime, and then two was the Catholics they worked politically in a way that the Protestant churches didn't. In other words, the priest would literally tell them how to vote, and they would all together go vote another Catholic in. And so that was pissing off the Protestants, because they would come in and start politically taking over something. But let's get into I love this. I love the anti-Irish cartoons that you find from like this time period. They always make them look like monkey people, like drunken monkey people.
Yeah, exactly. All right, in New York City, this is a good proxy for what was going on. Half of all crime committed in New York City were from Irish-born individuals. By 1858, 35% of the prostitutes were Irish. Almost half of people that were in New York City prisons by 1858 were Irish. And 3/4 of drunken disorderly conduct were the Irish.
Yeah, so it wasn't just like out of nowhere where they're like, we hate these dirty mix. It was like half of crime is being committed by you guys. Half of crime. And 75% of drunken retardedness is also you guys. So, I mean, it wasn't just they were reacting to nothing, or they were just like, oh, you guys are different a little bit, and you have a different flavor of Christianity than we do. Although, like I said, that was part of it. So this was going on, and just like with the Republican Party, when the base starts complaining about something, the base says, we don't want all this Mexican immigration. We don't want wars for Israel. And the Republicans just kind of say, well, too bad. You already voted for us, so fuck off. The Whig Party was basically doing the exact same thing. I thought I don't know if this was like, I don't know the context of this, but I think this is real. They couldn't possibly be worse. Like that's their slogan. Vote Whig. How could they be worse? Like that's what
what Republicans do now. So
right. So it was kind of funny. So that's the context, is you had A lot. It was populism, basically. It was the same kind of a thing. You had the average American pissed off because immigration was going crazy, because with all these other factors that were affecting the ability for these people to get jobs because of the mass transit and all these other things. Now you had like all these fucking potato eating mix coming in and taking the jobs, and you had these, these krauts and stuff, and these papists and stuff, and it was just like, what are you gonna do, and so anyway, you had like a lot of really pissed off founding stock Americans.
And founding stock Americans were appropriately concerned with dual allegiance. I mean, the revolution was not that far in the rear view. So they had real reasons to believe in Romanism and that the papacy was going to take over the country. This wasn't totally unfounded.
Right. And so they also just wanted to preserve their hierarchy that they had fought so hard to create. Like that was kind of like, for the families that participated in the revolution, that was kind of like the idea that, hey, you can risk it all, because, by the way, you'll get hung for treason if we lose. But if we win, you become the ruling class, right? You become the new ruling class here in America. And so that's your reward for you basically risking your life and your generational wealth in service of this idea of this new country. And so you do that, and then like a century, less than a century later, you're being overrun by all these other people. You want to preserve the order that your grandpa, probably at this point, fought in the revolution to preserve or to create. So that was kind of the context. And you had a secret society that was created, founded in 1849 in New York by Charles B. Allen, and who was a Native American, in the way they meant it, Protestant. And they made this club called the Order of the Star-Spangled Banner. And the Order of the Star-Spangled Banner was like this super secret society with secret handshakes and everything. In fact, all of their messages were they used cryptography. Yeah, you had to have like these little keys and stuff to decode the messages, which is hilarious. This is obviously way before electronic communications, and so it almost sounds like it'd be really fun, like you're all riding horses with some secret scroll inside, with, like your saddlebag with like the cryptography code, like here's the codex. And so that they had that going on. That was restricted to men who were 21 years old or older. They had to be born in the United States. They had to be Protestant. They had to have Protestant parents, and they could not have any Catholic relatives. The explicit purpose of the club or group was to resist the growing and political and cultural power of Catholic immigrants, especially the Irish. And they were there to protect the interests of native Protestant population that had built the country. And they were instructed to basically use nepotism, no matter across party lines, whatever. It doesn't matter what the priority was. You had to be a Native American Protestant. And so if there was ever a political situation where there's two candidates and one was Catholic and one was Native American Protestant, it didn't matter what the issue was. You had to put your support behind the Native American Protestant. And same thing with business dealings, same thing with anything. So it was basically use all of your power and influence in any way possible to disenfranchise Catholic immigrants and to empower Native American Protestants. So that was kind of the idea behind it. It started with like 36 members. It was really small in New York, but it rapidly grew to hundreds of thousands. And again, this is crazy. Without the internet, and without even you would think that at the time that you'd have like a press that was on your side, right? That would be on the side of the Native American Protestants. but they weren't. They were in opposition, just like you see today. If you're anti-immigration, like literally the articles written about the nativists in the 1840s and 50s, they could be written today about people who want to restrict immigration today.
Yeah.
And so it was unpopular in that sense, but it was overwhelmingly popular with actual Americans because it spread like wildfire. They got hundreds of thousands of people to join up, and
they were politically successful too. They were able to take over Massachusetts. Like for the time, they were able to do a lot and be very successful politically.
Which is exactly why this next guy got involved. Again, lots of.
I know. As soon as we started researching this, I was like, I knew there was a Jew in here somewhere.
Fucking
there
Jew.
Was. Yeah.
There's always, like I said, always rhymes. So, like many political movements, a Jew shows up. This is Louis Charles Levin. I wonder if, and I'm not being funny, I wonder if there's any relation to Mark Levin.
Yeah, really.
There could be.
He probably views himself as founding stock at that point. And he did marry, this guy married 2 goy in succession.
Yeah, no, he was a Jew from England. And it's weird because they looked the other way about the fact that he wasn't founding stock or Protestant for that matter, because he was a good orator and a good organizer. And again, this is kind of funny. The same kinds of excuses that people make today about certain gay Mexicans, they made about this guy. Oh, but he's really good at speaking. He's really good at getting a crowd riled up. He's really good at organizing and whatever. And so they made him the face of, to some extent, at first there was the Republican Party. It's not the same Republican Party today, although it sort of turned into that. And then it became the American Party. And this guy, he was born, like I said, I'm sorry. I thought he came in from England. I guess he was born in South Carolina. I think his parents came from England. But he was a lawyer, and then he was a newspaper editor, 2 very Jewish jobs. Yeah. Who would have thought? Who would have thought?
And then he was an agitator.
Yeah, and then he became a nativist agitator. And again, weird because the whole thing was we're Protestant and we are Native Americans, and this guy is neither one. And he becomes the leader of the Republican Party and then the American Party. And
wasn't he vehemently anti-slavery as well?
Well, see, we'll get to that in a second too. A lot of these guys were, which doesn't make any sense, because you have all these. This is why, and this is the other lesson I think about the know nothings, is you need to be. This is why race matters so much, and why race needs to be the priority. If you end up being, against another group, for ideological reasons, like in the case of we don't like the Irish coming because they're Catholic or whatever, and there's no racial component to it, you end up really on some unsturdy ground. Like it's really a slippery slope, and you end up doing stupid stuff like supporting the release of hundreds of thousands of black people into your society. If you're so worried about the demographics, but at the same time you want to release black people, doesn't make any sense. So it's a very schizophrenic view. These people were like, hey, we're worried about the Catholic influence, these white Catholics coming in from Europe, but hey, let's let all these black people out.
Yeah, but part of that was logistical. I mean, how much exposure would you have to feral blacks if you lived in the North?
Well, and that was the dividing line, because this nativist movement obviously appealed to people in the North and the South. Mm-hmm. And when the slavery became an issue, that's where the dividing line was, right. The people that had no exposure whatsoever to blacks were abolitionists, because they didn't know it was all abstract to them. It was all academic. They were, because of their Christianity because their universalist view of the world, they never took a racial view of any of this stuff. Like they weren't against the Irish on any kind of genetic racial line. That they were against them for because of ideological reasons, and they weren't against black people for any kind of racial reason either, because we're all God's children, and that quite literally that's what they believed. I'm not trying to twist that at all. Like, that's literally how the abolitionists view that. They thought that we were, you're enslaving God's, another one of God's children, and it's against God. And all their arguments were based in Christianity. Like, all of the abolitionists it was all religious arguments.
And in turn, because of their lack of racial consciousness, they ultimately became a predecessor to the Zionist movement. So, it was baked into the cake. I mean, the folly was there from the beginning. It sounds base because they're talking about preserving native culture, but they did let a Jew rise to the helm. He was in a leadership position. He organized some of these massive riots.
Right. So let's talk about those riots.
All right, there's one in Philadelphia, the Philadelphia Nativist Riot. This was pretty much orchestrated by Levin, and they were deadly. The tensions were boiling over. This was about the King James Bible being used in public schools because Catholics wanted their Bible in there. So a nativist rally in Irish Catholic Kensington district turned violent, and mobs burned down 2 Catholic churches. They looted homes. They clashed with residents. There was another wave a month later. 20 people died. Dozens were injured, and the militia intervened. Property damage was massive. I heard that in today's currency, it was about $4 million in property damage from this riot alone.
Well, and here's the crazy thing. It really was a riot about whether or not to use the King James version of the Bible. And the guy leading that one side is a Jew who doesn't use the King James version of the Bible himself.
Right. Yeah.
And so it doesn't make any sense. But yeah, there was obviously there was, people were killed. They burned down. There was actually, I think, 2 phases of this one, right? There were, because the first time it was, they went to go see the Jew speak. The Catholics went and started fights and kicked and drove them out of town. So then they came back with more people and burned down like Catholic neighborhoods, burned down, I think, a Catholic church, like
2 churches,
like a nun convent or something like that.
Yeah.
So that was the Philadelphia one in 1844. And then we had another big one.
In 1854, there was one in St. Louis. This was Election Day violence between Know-Nothing activists and Irish Catholic Democrats. So a judge had challenged immigrant voter citizenship, which sparked the fights. And this one, 10 were killed, 33 wounded, and dozens of buildings were burned down. The militia apparently restored order, but I doubt that. It doesn't really sound like it.
No, and there was a lot of these kind of riots that went on, but there was also a lot of exaggeration. In the same way that you see the press today exaggerate January 6th and stuff like that, the press, because they were anti-nativist, was exaggerating every time there was any kind of scuffle between a Protestant and a Catholic. They would say here's the Protestants again abusing the Catholics. And they would blow it out of proportion and make it seem like some crazy thing. I found some letters to the editor to that effect, where they're like, "Oh, it's always a know-nothing riot. Oh, look at yet another know-nothing riot. You guys are always writing about this. Even if it's just like a bar fight, it's like a know-nothing riot." And so you had a lot of that kind of thing going on because the press was on the side of the Catholics and the immigrants, just like I guess you could say today. And then, this is kind of interesting to give you some more context. Bill the Butcher, like in the movie Gangs of New York, Daniel Day-Lewis's character is based on an actual guy. Although in this clip I'm going to play, just because the one thing that he was a real guy, and he was actually kind of based, but just like the Know-Nothings, his first priority wasn't race. His first priority was he was a gang leader. and he was upset that these rival gangs were coming in from Ireland. And so the fact that they were Irish was really secondary to the fact that he was losing power because of his, and dominance because of his gang. And so he would lean on the fact that they were Irish to, get to create a nice, easy dividing line. But and look, I think that he's a folk hero in a lot of ways because he did end up dying fighting this fight. But if you look at his motives weren't, he wasn't like some white hero. Supposedly his dying words were, I forget the exact paraphrasing, but it was like, so long, brothers, I die a real Native American or something like that. I don't know. That's probably made up, but that's he's a good folk hero in the sense that he does, I think, embody the spirit that is necessary if you want to actually make any kind of change. And this is I've played this clip on the Insomnia stream, and I'm playing it here anyway. He talks about what actually has to be done to make change happen.
How old are you, Amsterdam?
Not too sure. Never did figure it.
I'm 47. 47 years old. You know how I stayed alive this long? All these years? Fear. The spectacle of fearsome acts. Somebody steals from me, I cut off his hands. He offends me, I cut out his tongue. He rises against me, I cut off his head, stick it on a pike. Raise it high up so all on the streets can see. That's what preserves the order of things. Fear.
And that is, I think, what I want to talk about now that we've kind of gone over what the Know Nothing movement was. Because basically, despite their political wins, despite they took over the state legislatures in like almost every state at one point, they were highly politically successful. They ultimately fell into disarray over the slavery issue. Ironically, and then we had the Civil War, and then it vanished as an issue for, until like another, until the 20th century, like when, maybe the early 1920s was before the nativists really started getting anything done again. And the reason why that happened was because the most important thing is, there was no political solution even back then. Because political solutions when your problem is a demographic problem, voting doesn't get rid of the people that are the problem. You can't vote, like, let's say, when you voted for Trump, did all the Mexicans disappear? No, they didn't. They're still here, and there's more of them. And so even when you win, unless that politician, and none of them historically, far as the eye can see, have ever done anything like a mass expulsion of people, really. I mean, if I can't think of a good example, at least certainly not in the last few centuries or so. So if the politician's not willing to do something that like pretty much nobody's ever done, and just logistically, once you let the problem get as bad as it is now, that no one can do, then the problem doesn't get solved. In fact, it gets worse. So every time the political option is even more impossible. And it's just boiling the frog further and further and further. And so if there was not a political solution in 1850, there's not a political solution today. And that is because the only solution to a demographic problem is a demographic solution. And
yeah, absolutely. And during this time, I mean, if there ever was a time for there to be a political answer, it would have been them. I mean, they basically were able to take over most of the states that they were involved in. They swept through the North and the South. It was a unifying force, and they did a lot of things right. Some of the things that they did correctly, they had like a unified message. Their getting out on the street stuff was positive. It was good for morale. But because the message wasn't the demographic issue, it was going to be a failure before it even started. And this just goes to show, I mean, we couldn't even properly assimilate the Irish, which are, white people for all intents and purposes. What business do we have trying to unravel a demographic problem, including Mexicans, Africans, Indians, through political solutions in 2026? It's a losing proposition.
Right. And the people that will say, well, the Irish eventually assimilated. Yeah, because they're white, because they're European, because you don't have to, overcome 50,000 years of separate evolution. I mean, there's enough similarities to where you can sort of make it work, right? With the Germans that came here, learned English, and essentially adopted the English culture. And so it's that the same cannot be said of people who are so biologically different from us. And a perfect example of that is the blacks. The blacks have been here for 400 years, and they still have not assimilated. And they won't. They never will. They will never assimilate. And so it's when you have a demographic problem, there is no political solution. And this is the reason it's obviously difficult to talk about this topic without, creating a problem. So like I am dancing a little bit around it, but like, let me just put it this way. We talk about a lot about eugenics, and the ultimate eugenics is war. War gives you the capability to remove large portions of genetic material from a population. That's all. I'm trying to be as like vague as possible, but lots of people got to die. That's all I'm saying. When you have a demographic problem, you have to have a demographic solution.
Right.
And so either you drive them out of your country and make them refugees somewhere else, or you make them not there another way.
What do you mean, Devon? I want to talk a little bit about the irony of modern Catholicism being multiracial, considering the Know Nothing Party was anti-immigration, anti-Catholic. So, I mean, this is being recirculated in modern Catholicism because we see this problem with Groypers. We see this problem in Catholic Universalism. We see this problem with the Pope,
the faggot Pope the other day.
The faggot Pope the other day. Yeah, ushering in a new era of African migration. I mean, they're doing the same thing that the Know Nothings failed to do. And we see this, we see this in Christianity. And I'm Catholic, and it's a problem I have with the church because although I believe that all souls have value, I don't believe that people are the same. And I see the problem of believing in equality of the spirit and of the soul just lending itself to multiculturalism in a really direct way. And Catholics have been at the helm in the United States. And that's one of the ways that the Know Nothings were correct about this. They properly identified that there was an alien force that was going to change the demographics of the United States. They were right about that, but it's not the Irish they should have been worried about.
Right. Right. And like I said, because they weren't worried about the racial aspect of things, because they didn't prioritize race over everything else, these same fucking idiots were the ones that were pro releasing the slaves. All the northern, well, not all, but like the vast majority of the northern Know Nothings became part of the Republican Party that put Lincoln into office, who emancipated the slaves. And they all, like I said, they all used Protestant Christian arguments when they did that. They were all these universalist arguments that, you know, we're all God's children and we need to release them. Now, look, you could say that you don't have to be Christian to be against slavery. I'm not for slavery, but there were smarter ways to do it, and ways that you could do it, and you could phase it out and couple it with a deportation scheme that would move them as you released them in small batches, in that you could handle, that you had the logistics to actually handle. You could be moving them as you could basically put a moratorium, like, all right, so no more new slaves, right? We can't have new slaves. So, you know, you'll have a lot of pissed off Jews that run the slave trade, but, you know, no more new slaves. And any slaves that we do free, that we phase out, have to go back to Liberia, and the rest. And look, some of them, given the option, would want to, if you've been if you've got a good massa and you've been working the same fucking plantation your whole life and you're like 65, you might want to just stay there. You might want to just live it out. And so, all right, fine, you can stay there until it's all, you know, until it's you're the last one standing. But there were ways to do it. But if you start making it about religious arguments, then there aren't the same. You don't have those same options, because the objective is different. If the objective is to preserve the racial continuity of this country, then you will make decisions based on achieving the goal of a racial continuity. If you start making religious arguments for things, this is why I always talk about when people try to make religious arguments against Jews. It's stupid, because the second you start doing that, you muddy the waters and you create all these unintended consequences start happening, and everything starts backfiring. If your problem with having Jewish influence in the country is because they're not whites, they're an alien, they're biologically alien, and they are in a very real sense have a parasitic relationship with our subspecies, and you look at it that way, as in, like, this is a parasite that afflicts our species, that biologically must be removed so that we can prosper as a species, then your solutions become a lot more crystal clear. You're not having to argue theology with people about whether or not they're God's chosen. It doesn't fucking matter. None of that stuff fucking matters. If you look at it, like, it doesn't, like, you just look at it like, no, we are white people. We are a genetic subspecies, and this is a different group of people. This is a different subspecies that is parasitically living off of us, and we need to remove them in the same way that you would remove a tick from a dog. Like this just needs to happen. And if you start opining about whether or not the tick is God's chosen people, or it makes it impossible to actually achieve any of these things.
Yeah.
And that's what happened with the Know Nothings, is they got obsessed with, like, what version of the fucking Bible they're going to read in school. And
it was just minutia. And if they made a racial argument, they could have bypassed all of this. Just immediately bypassed it. And it probably would have led to a large portion of Irish assimilation, which I'm fine with. But the anti-Catholic sentiment, which I do understand, because this was a Protestant nation, but I'm for whatever theology leads us to be a white nation. At this point, it seems so funny, like such small potatoes, because of the disparity that we have with other races in this country. So it's like Catholic versus Protestant. Who cares at this point? Are you white? But for the time, I understand.
Well, and that's the thing too, is like when all your priorities change. Once you start looking at it like, look, I am white first. I want a biological continuity of my people. Then that stuff doesn't matter. Then that stuff doesn't matter, in so much as it's not causing problems for the priority of preserving white people. Now, if the theology gets in the way of the continuity of white people, then that's a discussion that can be had. But with that out, as long as that's not an issue, I don't give a fuck. I really don't give a fuck. You could worship a fudgesicle, like, in the freezer that you've named Bill. Like, I don't care what you do for religious practices, as long as white people are preserved. And so,
right. I mean, it's the age-old question with Catholics, and I used to fight with Dave about this all the time. Like, would you rather live next to an African Catholic family or a white atheist? Like, I'm picking the white atheist every single time. And doesn't that just answer the question about whether or not this is about demographics? Even though I'm Catholic, I don't know how to square this circle. I really don't. And I don't see any Catholics really effectively doing it.
well, because it's unfortunately Catholicism's part of the problem. It is part of the problem. I mean, Catholic comes from the Greek katholikos, which means universal. It's universalist religion. It's run by some faggot pope that wants to flood Europe with black people. The Catholic charities have been flooding America with non-whites for decades. It's funny because like I bring this up to Catholics and they're always like, yeah, but like they have Jewish lawyers at those organizations. Like, all right, but then fire them. Like, who hired them? Did Jews just like walk into the Catholic charity one day like, it's ours now? Like, no, you fuckers hired them and you're obviously okay with them. It's run by Catholics. And it's not just Catholics. This goes to all the Protestant Christians too, who send. It's almost like the most noble thing you can do as a Protestant is to go to some third world fucking country and go build them a fucking school or something like that. Or, we dug, like, be like Mr. Beast and dig a fucking well for Africans. It's like, this is retarded. When we're going extinct and we have to worry, we have an existential threat hanging over the head of white people. And I mean that globally. Now, like, as a share of population, we've dropped down to where we're getting close to single digits here. While third world non-white populations are exploding, and you're going to fucking Venezuela to dig a fucking well for jungle people. What the fuck is wrong with you? Like, seriously. And so this is the problem. When you start prioritizing things that are not your race, well, then your race goes extinct. And like, this is exactly what's happening. And like I said, these people weren't doing it for racial reasons. They were doing it, I think, in the same way that I said that Bill the Butcher, who, like I said, he's a real guy. In the movie, he says he's 47. It's funny because he dies when he's actually 35. But his priority was really his power in the gang. And to the extent that he was pro-white, I'm sure he was just as racist as literally every white person was in 1850, whatever. But at the same time, like, his priority was not preserving the white demographic. And then, I happen to also be in a gang. It was, he wanted to preserve his own personal power, and Irish people were getting in the way. And unfortunately, I see the same fucking bullshit from Catholics where they don't actually really want to preserve white people. They care about the church first. And if I can also like live in a white neighborhood, I guess that's good. But my priority is always going to be the church. Now, look, that's going to be true of anyone that's actually religious. Why wouldn't it be? If you actually believe that, like, if you are actually Christian and you actually think that Jesus is a deity and then he should come first before your race, I guess. Like, I mean, I would think, I don't know how you would look at the world in another way, at least not sincerely. Like, how could you be a sincere person and say that I'm race first, but also I have my priority is my race and my second priority is my deity. That doesn't make any fucking sense to me.
Right. I mean, I can square the circle to some degree because God clearly separated us into individual nations specific to our races and our racial needs for a reason.
Well, if it's so clear, that doesn't seem that clear. I don't know, you say clearly, but that's not so clear to your Pope. That's not so clear to the vast majority of Christians.
That's because my religion has been infiltrated with evil.
That doesn't matter. The purpose of a system is what it does. And if a small fringe amount of people interpret a religion a certain way that is way outside the mainstream, that's not representative of the religion. That means that there's something different. You're the anomaly. That means there's something not. There's nothing about the religion that's pro-white. There's something about you. You're pro-white in spite of it.
It's incumbent on people that are in the Catholic faith now to try to return it to something of its original form. I mean, really amazing things did come out of Catholicism. And in defense of Catholicism, this multiculturalism, like worship of Black Christians, that is a Christian problem in general. Do you remember that story a few years ago? I got in so much trouble when I did the Matt and Blonde show. Matt was so pissed off because we did this story where this Haitian or this I think they were Mormon. They were in Haiti, and it was like her and her boyfriend. She was like 19 or something like that, and they were working on some Haitian Christian compound. They got pulled out of that compound and they were raped. She was raped and they were burned alive. And so on the show, I was like, isn't there some, can't you be helping white people? Like, can't you be helping people that are addicted to fentanyl in West Virginia or something? Like, what the fuck is she doing in Haiti? It's a
Right.
lost cause. Christians don't understand this. Like universalism, we have to find a way to still be Christian and understand that there's
Why
a
though?
racial
Why do you have to
consciousness.
do both? That's like saying, like, just because that guy Bolt ran fast and he doesn't have legs, we need to find a way to not have legs and run races. How about just have legs?
Well, I'm concerned about our salvation, and I do believe in Jesus Christ, and I believe in God, and so it's like how do I exist in these two realms when my church is so, and every other church? I know people in the Orthodox Church that are dealing with the same thing. When every existing church is so deeply bastardized, it puts us in a very difficult position. I'm not sure if the solution is to throw the baby out with the bathwater. But also will not become a trad cath. Won't do it. Can't make me.
I just don't think there's even a baby in there anymore. I think it's just bathwater.
What about the heart
I think it's
of the
just
church?
dirty fucking bathwater.
But what about the heart of any given church? I mean,
No, look, I think think of it
this
this way. I kind of feel like it's people are nostalgic, partially for a world that never existed. They want to think that, like, well, look at white people accomplished all this stuff, and we wouldn't have been able to do it without religion. And it's like, well, conditions were wildly different. You know, it's like people that are nostalgic for like the internet before or computers, like 90s computers, like, you know, if you all these like cringe geek YouTube channels, like, oh, look, DOS with Windows 3.1, it was so much better back then. No, it wasn't better back then. It wasn't better back then. It was shitty, and computers are better now. And yeah, it was simpler, and yeah, the internet sucks, but not because of the technology. It's because the people that are in it suck. But I think it's the same thing that with religion. It's like, no, I mean, there was a time and a place for that kind of religion, and it's kind of outlived its usefulness. It's outdated software, and it needs to be updated because it doesn't. It had this, just like Windows XP had tons of security flaws. It's just that a lot of hackers didn't find them right away, and so they would exist for like, you know, years and years and years. Until next thing you know, all the centrifuges in your nuclear research facility are flying and destroying themselves. And oops, you know, Israel gave you the Sustex virus or whatever. But that vulnerability existed for years. It's just that didn't really matter. It wasn't relevant that it existed. And the same thing with Christianity. This same exact vulnerability existed for years. It just didn't matter because there wasn't mass transit. It didn't matter that you were universalist when you couldn't have like 500,000 Africans show up in your country in a month. You know, but now that you can, that vulnerability is a problem. Even though it already was there, it's just that it didn't matter because no one was trying to use that as a vector of attack. But now they are, and you're fucked because there's no way to patch that.
It was never supposed to be this way. And I think that there were elements of historical Europe and America that did lend to a better quality of life in a spiritual sense. Like people used to have more of a purpose. They were more driven. They were more centered in life. Like obviously things are superior in many ways now. But we were able to develop art and literature in a way that we're not now because of these vulnerabilities that you speak of. But we also shouldn't be accosted by them. That's not fair. This is not the way the world is supposed to be. Multiculturalism is a failure. And just because we're being inundated with it and that it does have vulnerabilities doesn't mean that we can't seal those up and create something new. I mean, I heard Corey Mailer say, like, we have to be making our own churches now, which, you know, I know is a little bit blasphemous in and of itself, but I think he's onto something here.
Yeah, but again, we're talking about like a small fringe. Like this is what I'm saying. It's like you're gonna have to the big ask now is here's the thing. The software, like I said, the software is outdated. It's full of security holes, and there's people that have a emotional attachment to it, and so they want
Yeah.
to keep using the old software and patch it all up and try to make it run forever. When it's like no, like the conditions have changed. No matter how much you patch up Windows 3.1, you're never going to be able to get on the internet with it and play a YouTube video. Like it doesn't matter. Even if you patch up all the security holes, it's outdated now. Things have changed. And so it
And
might
how
have.
do we create a future for ourselves without looking into the past? I mean, we're all trying to tap into our ethnos. And how can we do that without history as some kind of basis? I mean, I don't want everything to be new. There needs to be an element that is a return to tradition in our future as a movement and as a people.
Well, you preserve things that are good and things that produce good results, and there are lots of things about white culture that are good that that give us good results. But I'm just saying right now, there is a lot of there's I feel like the cons outweigh the pros when it comes to universalist religions, and I don't think you can have a non-universalist Christian religion. I feel like it's a contradiction. It doesn't
Yeah,
make
I'm
any
definitely
sense.
struggling with that. I'm really sympathetic to that perspective. I mean, because it is something that I can tolerate so long as everybody is in their own fucking countries. Like, cool. I don't care if there are a billion Catholics of different races, as long as they aren't in the United States, as long as they're not in Europe. I just don't really care. Um, so I see what you're saying, but any institution that we're going to create is going to be corruptible by men, and it's going to be corruptible by Jews. And that's really what's happened to the Catholic Church.
Yeah, but like I said, like there are unnecessary vulnerabilities baked into especially when it comes to Jewish infiltration, baked into Christianity because of its origins, its Jewish origins. And so it's, like that's always going to be an issue. Uh,
But what do we do, Devon? I can't be some kind of
well, like I said,
pagan.
no, I'm not gonna. Well, no, you have to. That's the problem is you have to actually believe it. Like I'm not gonna. Let's start worshiping Thor now because that's real too. Like, come on. Like that's my point. Is like obviously paganism didn't get us anywhere either because it's where is it, right? And I don't. To be honest, I don't know. This is something I struggle with because people unfortunately are way more, and I think the know nothings kind of prove this too. People are way more motivated when it comes to making these religious arguments. When you start drawing religious lines, you can get people to do all kinds of crazy shit. You can get Muslims to strap a bomb to themselves and go blow up a fucking bus if it's for
Totally. Yeah.
Allah. Now, I don't think you'd be able to do that for the race. Like if you were to tell some Arab guy, hey, strap this bomb to yourself and then go blow up this Israeli cafe because like Arabs are awesome, I don't think they would do it. But if they think that they're going to do it for some religious reason, then all of a sudden it sounds okay. I would say conversely, the same thing goes for a lot of European history. Even they used to leverage Christianity to get people. The Crusades is one example. But even I would say World War II, they were making these religious arguments appealing to the universalist tendencies of Christians by saying that we are there to try to stop the racial supremacy of the evil Hitler who
Hmm.
doesn't understand the universalists, he's the antichrist basically. Like they were making religious arguments and people thought that they were going out and sacrificing for to remove evil from the earth. People are way more motivated when you have religious motivations to do things. And I think in some ways that's why religions exist in the first place.
Then racial motivations?
I feel like religion is like it's very effective software. And people know like it's really good at getting certain at outcomes out of a large amount of people, like positive outcomes for a society out of a large amount of people.
Well, I
And
guess the question boils down to, do you believe that we're born with the quest to find a spiritual resolution or a connection in our hearts?
do I believe that?
Yeah. Do you
Uh,
believe that? Yeah.
Not
Do you
really.
believe that people are born like searching for God?
No.
Okay, well, this should be reassuring to you because if you don't believe that, then, I think that people are born with a sense of kinship for their people. So you think that if we reboot, that the natural state of things is for racial allegiance, and if that happens, I will be
Let me
tickled
put it
pink.
this way. I think that if you were, obviously a big hypothetical, if somehow you were to temporarily, like the little flashy pen in Men in Black, you were to go around and flash everyone in the face and steal every Bible from the planet, Christianity would just be gone. It would just be gone. Like no one would, like it only exists because people keep it going. And if you were to erase everyone's memory of it and take every record of it from the face of the earth, it wouldn't magically come back. It would just be gone.
Well, of course, because because people need the Bible.
Well, no, a lot of Christians would say that's bullshit. They would say that God would, would make it manifest again or whatever, right? Like that because because they think it's true, like that this is 100% true, that it would somehow reemerge, even if you got rid of every, copy of the Bible. Now, as far as look, here's the thing, because people are, what I was getting at is because people are religiously motivated and because that motivates them more, unfortunately, we're always going to be, I think, until you have a religion, until you have software that white people run, religious software that has their race tied to it as a key component of that software, you are always going to be at a disadvantage to Jews. Always.
Oh yeah. I absolutely agree with that. I mean, we're basically talking. My admission here is basically that I care more about race than religion. I mean, and that's why I'm grappling with this, and it's so difficult for me, because I don't see a solution in a universal Catholic nation if it's multiracial. That solves nothing for me.
Right.
So it just has to be more important. I understand that this is a problem. I've been grappling with this very publicly for a long time. But I still am Catholic.
Well, the unfortunate thing is because people, and look, there's just some people that are dumb, and there's some people that can't behave themselves unless they have religious software running. There are some people that are just they need to think that they're going to burn in hell for eternity if they steal that taco. Like that's just there's people that can't. No, there are people.
You said taco.
Well, I was just the first thing that popped in my head of thinking of thievy little brown hands taking something. It was a greasy taco, but you know what I mean. Like you need it just from a practical standpoint. Some people just need to be told that you need to do this or you go to hell. Like they need to be told that because if not, they will just run wild. If they think that there is no consequences to the things that they get away with, they'll just try to get away with everything.
Yeah.
And so that's an unfortunate reality, but that is a reality. And so you have that part of, religion does serve that purpose. And that's obviously a reason you'd want people to be religious. Then also, if you want to move people in great numbers to all accomplish something that they can't wrap their head around, like some big goal, like, well, for example, building a cathedral or something like that. You can't get a bunch of people to see the big picture. You don't have to sit there and try to, just like you don't have to find the taco thieving Mexican and try to explain all the intricacies, the morality of stealing the taco. You don't have to give him like that speech like in Citizen Vigilante when he's on the bus saying, and that's why you paid the bus fare. Like, you don't have to do that fucking speech. You just say, no, bad, because God said. In the same way, if you want to accomplish maybe one of these big things like build a cathedral, yeah, you can just be like, well, that's what God wants. And so, shut up and just fucking build a cathedral. And so, yeah.
But do you think that religion is necessary in white societies?
I think that it's always been in white societies. It's always been in every human society. And I don't think there's ever been like some atheist society or at least not any significant one that has, you know what I mean? Like, and so that's the problem. Right. And so, I don't think it's something that you just you wave some magic wand, ironically a magic wand, and everyone's atheist and it doesn't have any negative impact. No, it'd be like lots of negative impacts. And so, yeah, it's a problem. But at the same time, you can't just replace religion with some other failed religion, like you mentioned, paganism. You can't just be like, oh, let's all act like we believe in Zeus or something. No one, come on. Like, are there pagans that actually believe in like Thor and all that shit? Like, give me a fucking break.
Yeah, I know some pagans that do. For
well,
sure. Yeah.
They say they do, but do they really? Like in the heart of hearts, if you put a gun to their head and said that, like, deny Thor or I'll shoot you in the head, would they really like have so much faith in Thor they'd be like, shoot me? I mean, come on, be honest. And so I just don't think there is that many. I mean, I'm sure there's at least one, right? There's always one, but like realistically speaking, there's not. And if you come up with some new religion, no one's going to believe it. That's the kind of thing you could do. Like back when Mormonism happened, for example, they could pull that off because no one had the internet. He could walk into town and be like, "Hey, everybody, I talked to an angel." They'd be like, "What? He talked to an angel," and they just fucking believe it. Like you can't do that anymore. And so. I mean, that would be key. If you could somehow get everyone stupid enough to believe shit like that, then you could just be like, yeah, the angel said white people are the best, and like we should shun all other people, But even then, you're kind of fucked because Mormonism sort of did that, and then they fucking backtrack in the 1970s. So, I mean, it's.
Alternatively, you can create these rules of social morality through exacting like very serious penalties for law breaking. I mean, that's what they do in China.
Yeah, I mean, you can sort of do that.
I don't want to do that either, though. I don't.
Is China atheist though? Are they like? I mean, Japan is, right? Japan's maybe I shouldn't.
Shinto, but there's a lot of atheists in both countries. Let me look it up.
Yeah, look, because that was one thing. As soon as I said that there's no successful atheist country, I thought, well, what about Japan? Because I know that they're pretty atheist. And I almost wonder, because I think here's the problem with Japan, though. Their hardware is different.
It is, yeah.
And so,
okay, maybe... So China, 52% unaffiliated or atheist. Chinese folk religion, 22%. Buddhist, 18%. Christianity, 6%. Islam, 2%. Taoism and others, less than 1%. Let me look at Japan. Okay, Japan, Shinto, 48 to 70%. That's a huge spread. Buddhism, 46 to 67%. Christianity, about 1%.
Okay, so they're not. I thought they were most. AI search. Just ask differently. Ask what percentage of Japan's atheist.
3 to 4%.
Okay, that's pretty low. So yeah, maybe there aren't any successful atheist societies. So maybe you just need that software running. And I think it makes sense for the reasons that I outlined. Like in order to keep stupid people from stealing the tacos and stuff like that, like I think you need that. And because you're not gonna be able to explain complex moral values and to people that are basically retarded,
Yeah. And we do have some retarded whites.
No, we have lots of retarded whites. And so yeah, I think you do need that. It's just that, like I said, in this day and age, I'm sure I could get some people to buy it. If one day I went on my stream and I said, guess what, guys, last night, God came to me and he said, Devon, you're the new leader of the new religion of white people. And it's called, I don't know, think of a good name. What is it called?
Stackism.
And if you want to be a stackist, then, these are the rules and blah. I'm sure like a handful of weirdos would be like, yeah, but everyone else would pretty much be like, all right, this guy's lost it. Right.
Yeah. And that's not my solution either. I mean, anything that's not based in truth is going to lead us down the wrong road. I don't want to do this noble lie thing for the dumb whites.
Yeah, but I would almost,
I would rather have staunch authoritarianism from a white nationalist leader than
right.
Have
but that leader has to have some kind of, guiding principles too. Like, so what do you want that guy to believe in?
What do I want him to believe in? I don't know, like traditional Catholic teachings.
But if believed in traditional Catholic teachings, he would let all the Catholics from around the world into the country.
Yeah, but this shouldn't be a problem.
It is, though.
Yeah, but it's like, you know how we always talk about Jews that came in at the turn of the century,
Right.
violating non-existing laws and exploiting the vulnerabilities in our legal system. Like,
Right.
yeah, those vulnerabilities exist, but we shouldn't have to deal with the externalities surrounding that. We should be able to have a little bit of maneuverability in our society because it's homogenous. And I think the same goes for religion. If everybody in Africa wants to be Catholic, like, more power to them. That's great. The problem here is multiculturalism. And Catholics were they were historically they were not multiculturalist in the way that the modern Catholic Church is.
I would say to you, the fact that you think that Africans could be held to the same standards right there is a problem. And I think therein lies the problem. You shouldn't have a religion that everyone can join, even if they stay in their own countries, because it's an admission that everyone is possible. It's possible for them to be held to the same standards. And
Okay, I
so,
don't think that Africans are like reading the Bible in its original form and going to Latin Mass and understanding it and everything like that. But I think it's a dumbed down Catholicism that is appropriate for their national IQs.
okay, but
And I'm fine with that.
unless it's called something different, unless it's something that it has some kind of separation, and it's called, like, if it was called African Catholicism or something like that. No, I'm serious.
Yeah.
Unless you have that separation there, then you're implicitly, if nothing else, saying that you are capable of following the same rules and living by the same guidelines as we are. So why couldn't you live in my society? If
Yeah,
you're
but there's always going to be a disparity in understanding of biblical teachings
but they're
amongst
gonna
any group of people.
but you're gonna have that among whites. You're gonna have stupid whites that are gonna be
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
as
yeah.
dumb as the smartest African, right?
Yeah.
And so that's my point, is you should have uh essentially racial specific religions. Like, look,
I'm fine with that. I mean, Orthodoxy has something like that.
it does and it doesn't, though, you know?
Yeah.
And that's, I think that the problem is you need to have racially specific like the reason why you need racially specific religions is you need basically an operating system that's written specifically for your hardware. And it needs to be so specific to your hardware that if you try to install it on some other hardware, it doesn't work. Otherwise, you're just trying to make some stupid version of Linux that runs on everything, so you can say I played Doom on a Nokia
But how do you
phone.
do that? How do you do that without it becoming so derivative that it no longer even represents the original teachings of the church in any given population?
Well, you're talking about rebooting Christianity. I didn't say anything about that. Like the original teaching of the church, original teaching of what church? I'm talking about a whole new thing that would be racially specific to white people.
Hmm.
I'm not the one to do it. I'm not like saying I'm like a prophet, or even a theologian, or I'm not the one that's gonna come up with it. I'm just saying, if we're just spitballing here and trying to think of solutions, this is the kind of thing this is what I think about when I'm out beekeeping in my spacesuit in 1,000,000 degrees, sweating my balls off. I'm thinking to myself, like, what would it take? What really would it take? Because I think about this all the time. And look, this is not like, listen to Devon shit on Christians because he has some kind of bone to pick. No, it's like, if that's what would work, I'd be okay with it. But it demonstrably doesn't work. And so what would work? And when I think about this, when I think about what would work, it would be unfortunately, it's something that I don't know how you get to that. Like, it's a solution I don't know how you get to, because it seems like an impossibility that you would have some new religion emerge that would spread like wildfire among white people. Like, I don't know how that would even happen. And so in some ways, maybe you're kind of stuck with the legacy system. Maybe it's like, because I like using the software metaphor, maybe because we have so many systems already running on the Christian software, maybe you are kind of in a position where you to keep things running. You have to keep just patching, like it's not ideal, but you have to keep patching the software or whatever just to keep it going, because it's too traumatic to actually try to go around and uninstall it from everything and reinstall something new and then you have to train everybody how to use it. And, it's like, it's a big mess. So I don't know. I think about these things, and I can just tell you that, historically, every time we look at these examples of white people failing to stick up for their race, almost always there's a Christian hand somewhere in it, and not to say that there haven't been Christians that have been, in fact, some Christians have been super pro-white. And there are examples of, outlier, denominations like Christian identity people that have made it part of their version of Christianity, but as far as having like white appeal and being part of like mainstream white societies, anytime you get into a situation where they're faced with a question of accepting in refugees or accepting in the other, almost invariably religious organizations, not just Catholics, of every flavor of Christianity, go in on the side of let's accept the refugees, let's accept the other.
Right. But if you can get people to be fundamentally ethnocentric, or it happens organically because an outside threat is looming and threatening, physical harm every day on their families, then
but
I'm not really sure how much it matters. Like, I don't
did you
care
see that?
what.
Did you see that tweet that LP put out? It was a screenshot of another tweet, I think, of someone talking. I'm paraphrasing, but he said that I was talking to someone in South Africa about the farm murders, and they were telling me how awful it is. And then I mentioned Orania.
That's Nazi shit.
Yeah, and he said that's Nazi shit. So if you have South Africa, if there's still liberal white douchebags, and in fact, I would even say maybe even the majority, because if not, I don't think that I honestly think that there is a less than 50% of the white people in South Africa right now would be considered like white nationalist leaning. Mm-hmm. Even in fucking South Africa, I think there's still like 50% or more self-hating whites out there. And so if you can get to a demographic reality like that and still not have this mass awakening that everyone thinks is going to happen, where white people's survival instincts kick in and they're suddenly like, kill all the niggers. Like, I don't think that's, I don't think that happens ever.
But this urge that you were talking about to return to a better time, that I think is within all of us, that's not us trying to return to a more religious time. It's us trying to return to a more ethnocentric time where we felt safe and we lived in a high trust society. So if people could understand that, which is a philosophical process, so a lot of people are not going to be able to understand. But I think that ethnos, it's inherent to us. Kinship is inherent to us. And that's how we create high trust societies. If you look back at the history of Europe, you can see organically what we want our societies to be like in the most fundamental ways. We want there to be trust. We want there to be safety. We want there to be communion. And that is where we will try to return. It's the mean to which we will try to return if we're left to our own devices in the absence of Jewish subversion. So I'm not really sure how necessary this conversation is, because I don't particularly care about making this a Catholic nation. I just want to deal with the Jews. I mean, once we eliminate that threat, I think that we're going to be able to deal with a litany of religious beliefs in a more manageable way. It's about removing the external threat so that we have that malleability that we were discussing earlier in our laws and in our culture.
Well, let me ask you this. Absent Jewish influence in America, now that, I mean, and I don't mean like you go back in time. I mean, like, let's say tomorrow you wake up, all the Jews are just gone. After the huge party is over, would you think that white people would suddenly become higher in-group preference, or even gradually? Or do you think that there would still be this, fetish with the exotic?
No, I think there would still be the fetish with the exotic. I mean, I think that there needs to be Jewish removal and there needs to be remigration. And then those that remain, I mean, I don't know what we're going to do with blacks that have been here for 400 years, but there needs to be segregation, voluntary or otherwise.
Right, but I'm just saying, like, do you think that would be a natural outcome of all the Jews vanishing? Let me put it that way. Like, organically, that would just happen.
I think there would be more natural segregation efforts. Yeah. But do I think that we would get to the kind of white society that I want? No. But I think that I would be able to have this kind of white fiefdom without having to worry about Jewish subversion all the time, or like Jews airdropping a bunch of fucking Congolese in North Idaho or whatever is going to happen. So there would be that. I mean, I think that it's a step towards building trust in white societies. And
no, it would make it a lot easier. I mean, a perfect example is just like if you look at Return of the Land, who's suing them right now? It's Jew.
It's Jews, yeah.
Right. Yeah, it'd be infinitely easier. I'm not saying that it wouldn't be easier. I'm just saying I think that the people are underestimating. We talk a lot about on this stream about how biologically driven behavior is, and I think people are underestimating the unfortunate biological behavior of white people that sometimes leads to this demographic displacement because we're letting them in. Now, obviously,
we are highly altruistic, much to our detriment. But how much of that is Jewish propaganda? I mean, if you eliminate
a lot of it is. No, a lot of it is. Like, okay, I would say,
let's remove Jews from society. Let's remove Jewish propaganda from society. Let's replace it with white nationalist propaganda. I think that in one generation we would be pretty close to where I would like to be. How can I like get into the schools in this hypothetical situation?
Oh, can you mean like, well, I guess what I'm saying is like, if you removed, like if all the Jews magically disappeared, then, whatever Jews were working in the school system would have disappeared also. So you'd have to replace, they'd be replaced with somebody.
And they can't come back.
No, they're just gone. They're on planet Jew now.
I think we would trend.
Can you imagine that planet Jew?
They can go to Mars.
No, it'd be great. Like, imagine if like existence split into two. And so like we all wake up one morning, all the Jews are gone. They wake up on another planet that's exact copy, but everyone but Jews are gone. And they're just like, oh, oy vey, it's just us.
What are we going to do?
Yeah, what are we going to do now? No more Goyim slaves.
I think in 2 generations, we would be trending very close in the right direction. I do.
Yeah, no, I do think it's like that would be a big thing. Now, let me ask you this: do you think? Actually, here's something we should do a stream on, because when the English kicked the Jews out, in what year was that? In like 16 or 15 something?
Let's see. We got 1290, the Edict of Expulsion.
After that.
Let's see. We've got 1656.
Yeah, that's the one I'm thinking of. Because by then, England's very Christian, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see how that was presented to the people, and why there seemingly was not the obstacle of why are we going to kick out God's chosen people? Now, right. I think obviously a lot of it's different because the king can just do
whatever he wants. Yeah.
Right. And say, well, I'm the head of the church. And so, I can just say this and it works. But I'd like to see if there was some kind of reasoning, put out to people to explain it to them why it was okay to do. But anyway.
What was your question?
Which question?
You were like, let me ask you a question. Another question.
I forgot. I forgot what it was. But anyway,
I don't want people to think this is really contentious because I'm actually very sympathetic to your perspective.
Right. No, and I get it too. Like, look, all almost all of my friends are some brand of Christianity, right? Like, I don't have a problem. My whole family is very religious, and I don't see it as like this evil I must eradicate from the earth. It's just I do see the very real problem. I'm a problem solver.
Yeah.
I think like an engineer, and I think of like I troubleshoot. And when I think about like, well, here's the problem I'm trying to solve, and the problem I'm trying to solve that I'm always trying to solve that I've been trying to solve for a decade now is white genocide. How do I prevent white people from going extinct? I want white continuity. I want white prosperity. And I start to look at the system, and I start to think like, well, where are the vulnerabilities here? Where are the bugs? Where what are the things actually causing some of these problems? What are the parts that might have gone bad that I can swap out to fix this system? And unfortunately, when I look at the at least the last couple hundred years of this country's history, and you look at the things that have either invited or exacerbated demographic replacement, a lot of times it's not just Jews. I mean, yeah, there's obviously Jews played a very significant role, and that's goes without saying, I think, at this point. But I think that people overlook the role that universalism has, that role that's played, and it's not a insignificant role. And
No, I
so,
agree. Yeah.
when I first started looking at this too, I wasn't even like attributing it necessarily to Christianity. I was just attributing it to like, well, it's universalism. It's people thinking that, that we're all basically spiritually equal. If, these people, if a significant number of white people have a spiritual view of the world, that we're all just kind of spirits inhabiting a physical body. And even if our physical bodies are different, our spirits are all the same. Well, then that makes sense why you wouldn't care that the physical bodies are so different, because we're all spirit children, the same mama and papa, spirit daddy or whatever, like, I get it. Like, it makes sense why that would happen. And so then I started looking more into like, okay, well, where is this coming from? And I was like, oh, this. And then I was kind of hoping it would just be like, oh, it's just this, and this. And the rest of it's just these three denominations that view the universe like this. And then the rest of them aren't. No, they're all pretty much universalists. Like, and if they weren't, I'd be like, okay, let's promote this version, because it's just easier than trying to reboot it and start like a whole new religion up. Again, just being pragmatic here. I'm just trying to solve a problem, and it's kind of blackpilling when you see the degree to which the problem. And here's the other thing too, like, it's not even. I don't even think that you'd almost have to have control over the society if let's say you invented a new religion. I mean, look at the way Christianity was spread to Europe. It wasn't because it was like some guy showed up and was like, let's be Christians, and it spread like, some kind of like Avon multi-level marketing, thing. It was decreed from on high. Like, it was basically forced on the people that you have to be Christian or die, basically. And so they did it. And that's how they converted everybody. And that's kind of like, I think if you were to come up with something new, you'd have to do that. You'd have to be in a position of power where you could say, you have to be a stackist now, or you're executed. Like, I think
right.
that you'd have to almost do that.
I mean,
right.
We need to have truth as our moral center. Otherwise, what are we even doing here?
Well, yeah. But
we've got to be uncompromising on that. I mean, if I understand like that the masses need to be shifted and they need to fall into line, because look at what they've done with this country and Western Europe. But it's got to be rooted in truth.
Well, let me ask you this: are you always honest 100% with your kids, or do you sometimes tell them little white lies to get them to do what you want?
I tell them big ass lies every single day. Well, I lie to those kids constantly. It's not good parenting, though.
It is, though.
I don't know. I mean, I've exposed them to like too many truths about death, and now they're asking questions all the time. Even my 2-year-old is asking me some questions. It's so I understand that there is too much truth that you can reveal, but I think that's also a timing issue. Like if I were a better parent, I would find a way to shield them from the truth without lying to them. But they're just so infuriating that I just have to lie to them all the time. I mean, I don't have to, but I do.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that's kind of why we wanted to go over the Know Nothing movement, because it kind of creates like all these opportunities to talk about our current situation because of some of the similar failings and some of the things they had in common. I did think it was interesting. Like I said, a lot of the similarities in terms of like, here we have this populist movement that's worried about demographics and the economy and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And they go through all these phases. Well, what happened immediately afterwards? Civil War. And I do kind of wonder, like, is if there are these similar things that we're seeing manifest in today's society, if we have a similar future ahead, who knows? I mean, that's the kind of thing that, I mean, people have been predicting as long as I've been alive. They've been talking about fucking Civil War 2.0. And it just doesn't. I think that the thing that makes that less likely is the fact that it's multiracial, right? Because it's, I mean, weirdly, I mean, I could see race war, but that's not the same as Civil War. You know? So.
No, I understand. I mean, obviously we're on the precipice of something happening.
Do you think so?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think that we could deal with one or two of the things going on that are happening, but a financial calamity is incoming imminently, and we're not going to be able to deal with everything. The demographic issue as long as we didn't have financial turmoil, I think that we would be able to kick that can down the road for a generation, probably. I mean, not me. I'm chronically pissed off, but I think that too many things are happening simultaneously.
You know, when I was a cringe libertarian doing libertarian propaganda, like about 15 years ago now, I remember, or maybe not quite 15 years ago, I remember I did a video where there was a lot of libertarian hand wringing about the debt possibly reaching $20 trillion, and now it's 40 trillion, I think.
I think it's higher than that. Let me see.
So it doesn't seem to matter.
Well, I'm not worried about the debt. It's 39.4 trillion. I am worried about the debt, but I'm worried about energy, and I'm worried about food scarcity. I'm worried about things like that. I mean, how much are we going to sustain?
I don't think. See, here's the thing, though: is this is why I'm kind of wondering if they see. I feel like at the very least they feel like they can pull it off. I think they feel like
for sure.
They've reached a level with technology where food won't be a problem. I think with GMOs and all the modern techniques they have for growing, crops with very little resources. I feel like look at it. No one in America is starving to death. Let's face it. I mean, we have the opposite problem. So I don't think they're worried about making food. I don't think that they're worried about making energy, although that's probably maybe a bigger problem, obviously, with the systems we have in place right now, having to worry about fossil fuels and stuff like that. But I feel like that's something that's being addressed, and they're going to come up with technologies that'll I mean, look, they always have they can always play the nuke card. It's not, I mean, those power plants produce, a lot of energy for very little, like material. You don't, it's not like you have to be, you don't need a lot of resources put into a nuke plant to power like a huge city. And the only thing that's stopping them from doing that is politics. So, like, I think worst case scenario.
Yeah, but they're not going to be able to turn us into a nuclear energy nation overnight. I mean, we are an oil-based economy, and our strategic petroleum reserves are basically depleted. It's just going to take one natural disaster, one like terrible hurricane to turn everything on its head. Also, we have no idea what the gold reserves are like. We have no idea what those are like in China. There's no transparency in our financial system. Like, they can't just do this forever. It's such a stupid elite mindset to think that we're going to be able to replace these tangible assets that run our nation, that run the world, with some nebulous technology that is yet to exist. I mean, if they think that they're going to do that, they're totally delusional. Eventually, the chickens are going to come home to roost on this one. They can't put it off any longer.
Look, I hope you're right, because I feel like a black swan event is exactly what we need. But at the same time, it's kind of like I've been hearing people predict this, this basically saying the same thing since the 1980s, saying that like, they're gonna keep spending all this money, and eventually, it's all gonna collapse, and that, here we are. It's like 40, 50 years later, and it's like, when is it gonna collapse, guys? It doesn't seem like it's collapsing yet. And I think as long as we always have the military upper hand, and maybe that'll be the first sign that that the collapse is coming. And you could argue, well, what just happened in Iran, right? It wasn't exactly some big success, but it wasn't exactly some mass casualty event either for Americans. So
yeah, but the fact that they were even able to play ball is somewhat remarkable,
right?
I mean, we're supposed to be this massive international military power, and we're just getting smoked by cheap drones. It's just incredible to me. I think it really shows this old mindset that the United States
I think that should be
lacking.
encouraging too, for just the people that
it should be encouraging, right? Because we could just do that. Militias could just do that. I mean,
right?
why
no,
not?
Seriously, like the whole drone thing. That, like, when people used to say, "Oh, what are you going to do with your AR-15? Go against a tank?" It's like, well, maybe not, but maybe with like a digi. Give me a little digi drone and strap like a little fucking sticky bomb on the side of it, and we're good to go. Apparently, apparently that's all it takes.
What we're looking at when people are talking about like a civil war. I don't think that they're able to comprehend how different that's going to be than any previous civil war that's existed. Like we don't understand what that would look like.
Yeah, look what's going on with Ukraine and Russia.
Look at what's going on with Ukraine and Russia. I think that's a good example. It's going to be like targeted drone warfare. That's what it's going to look like. There's going to be a major technological aspect to it. It's going to be painful. I mean, I think of Peter Schiff all the time when I'm talking about the.
I think about him all the time too.
Because
he's a handsome man.
No. Since I started YouTube, I've been hearing
Peter Schiff.
No, he's Jewish. Every one of his videos from like 2015 has been like economy in shambles, like it collapse, incoming and everything like that. And like I think he's a little bit early to the game. But you can't just do this forever. You can't just print money forever. You can't deplete, the petroleum reserves. You can't do stuff like this. Like there's no, I can't think of a solution that's going to prevent at some point us having to deal with the realities of the financial situation that we're dealing with. And it's not like our country has never dealt with this before. I mean, look at 1929. We still have fractional reserve banking. We still have all of these problems. The mortgage-backed security issue has been recycled to some degree in different financial liabilities. Like I don't really see how we've remedied any of these problems in the past.
You don't think that at that point we won't just take over something and just take their shit?
Yeah, but I mean, what are
like
we
like Venezuela style? We'll just go in there and be like, yoink.
Yeah, but there are major logistical issues, especially with Venezuela, like the ability to refine, the transport problem. I mean, we can't just like take oil, bring it to the United States and make everything run again. It's a very complex system based on refinery capabilities and imports and the Strait of Hormuz. I mean, I don't know how we're going to be able to square the circle for much longer. Do I think it's imminent? Yes, but I might be wrong.
Look, I hope it is. I've been hoping it was for a long time because, like I said, it's times like that when you all kinds of opportunities that don't exist otherwise open up to you. Like all of a sudden, all the normies that are asleep at the wheel who, you talk about revolution, they're just like, what? But I want to keep my cushy job so I can watch Netflix and drink Starbucks and whatever and get DoorDash. All of a sudden, when all those things become impossible, when, the creature comforts dry up, you get people that are a little more open to hearing about your radical ideas about who should be in charge,
Yeah. Or who is to blame. Somebody in the live chat just said Peter Schiff has predicted 20 of the last 2 economic crashes. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Is
I
that the
don't know.
guy, the Big Short, not the Big Short, the guy who
No, no,
predicted
no.
the 2008 crash? Who was that guy? The
Michael
housing.
Berry.
Yeah, where they had the movie about him, right?
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
Michael Berry.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a shrewd investor. His portfolio is interesting these days. This took an unexpected turn, Devon.
No, this is kind of what I wanted to talk about this stuff, and I thought this is the kind of fuel for this kind of a fire. I thought that because a lot of this stuff does, like the Know Nothing Party stuff does kind of, like I said, it rhymes with what's going on now. It was a populist movement that was worried about the economy and worried about demographics, and they didn't take a race first stance on anything, and so they failed. They accepted a Jew as the face, not necessarily, maybe that's overstating saying he's the face of the movement, but like to some extent he was, because he was a good orator and he was good at organizing, even though he wasn't even Protestant, let alone white. So like you see a lot of this same kind of shit going on, where you have people making excuses. Well, he's really good at speaking, even though he's not white, and he's a homosexual. Yeah, and so like you have a lot of this same stuff going on, and I think it leads to the same place where you end up not having your demographic issue ever resolved. And in the case of the 1940s going to 1840s going to the 1850s, it led to a distraction where they just waved slavery in everyone's face, and then they all forgot all about the Catholics, I guess, and then fought a civil war. So it makes you wonder if something similar would be happening today, where you have a bunch of people, a growing concern about all this immigration, the economy, and look over here, let this other problem, civil war. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. If we don't make demographics central to any movement, then it's like, what are we even doing here?
Right.
The right demographics too.
Right. All right. Let's take a look at some super chats, I guess.
Sure. Do you want me to go first?
Sure.
All right, Ben, big dono, thank you. As a heritage American who has an ancestor who signed the Mayflower Compact and whose ancestors fought in the Revolution, I happily joined the Catholic Church this Easter, joining my ancestors and yours, Devon. God bless you. Well, welcome to the church.
Yeah, literally none of my ancestors are Catholic, not a single one, because they are founding stock Americans, and no one that's founding stock American was Catholic.
Yeah, all of my ancestors were Anglican. That is true.
Yeah.
Dusty Rhodes, thank you. Vincent says, dropping religion won't fix this. You need to defend it and fix it. You drop it and fill the void with whatever the Jews will force their way in. What you guys need to fix, the bigger issue, is gatekeep, or this will happen again. That is an argument that I'm also willing to listen to. What unifying force is going to be the greatest assault against the Jews? And like, that's where we need to put our efforts.
Well, like I said, I think it has to be the same, because here's the thing. If you stick to the biological realities of the world, like you were the one that said you don't want to lie to people. Okay, well, you can make a very honest argument that not only are they not biologically us, they actually have a biologically driven behavior, and that has been demonstrated for centuries, to where they periodically, in a very predictable way, show up in our societies parasitically and
wait, I didn't say I don't want to lie to Jews. I don't care about that.
No, I'm saying, like, if you want to talk to white people about what to do about the Jewish problem, or if you want to explain the Jewish problem to them, I don't think that the most persuasive argument is a religious one, because then you can't get. I mean, there's so many Christians can't agree on, like, just as we just described, the Protestants and the Catholics were arguing about what version of the fucking Bible they read in school, and they were stabbing and shooting each other over it. So, like, making a religious argument about Jews is gonna, like, that's an uphill battle. Just be honest and say, like, look, they're not us. They are a different race than we are, and yet they show up and they take over our racial hierarchies. And so they need to be treated like a parasite. They need to be removed from positions of power where they can do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree. And when I introduce this to people, I never begin with a religious argument.
Yeah,
so I agree with you there. Pride Assassin got booted from Discord for telling an Israeli to get out of my country. May have offered a free hemp necklace. Thank you for that. Thank you, Secret Hitler. Thank you, Conan. Lizard Killer, a big dono. Thank you. I was late to last week's show, so I missed my opportunity to rant about faggot prankster kikes. Oh, well, here are my shekels. And I love how the way he had to put this through YouTube. Well done. You made it. Here are my shekels. Notice it's prankster and not pranker, because adding the ST is the American way. Huckster. I like it. Wait, it wasn't huckster. It was hoaxer.
Hoaxer. No, it's hoaxer is the real way of saying it. In fact, someone sent me a Google Ngram of hoaxer versus hoaxster, and it was like ridiculous. You lose. I'll have to find it again. But you totally lose. It is.
I'll take the L. It's fine.
It is hoaxer. Huge
donation from Romega. God bless. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much. All right, I think we're good over here. I'm going to reload.
All right, over here we got. Well, I'll check. Oops, I hit the wrong button over here. Hang on. I'm gonna hit the right button. All right, we got Love and a Vision says, I think the most pro-white thing that we can do. Oops, let me stop that. Pro-white thing we can do is normalize anti-Semitism. We need to openly talk about a pogrom. Christians have forgotten that Jesus rejected the Jews. As a Christian, I do put Christ first, but that means white preservation. I just don't know how putting Christ first means white preservation, because there's nothing in the Christian religion that argues that whites are particularly better or necessary for Christ's plan to resolve. Like, if all of white people go extinct but Catholicism still exists, what does it matter?
Yeah, I mean, I'm having a hard time with that.
There's nothing in the Catholic religion that says, oh, and if white people go extinct, then Jesus will be really mad. Like that, that's not anywhere in there. So that's my point, is like it's not an moral imperative to preserve the white race anywhere in Christianity. And that's, I think that's an issue. Love Division also says, Devon, you should challenge Fuentes to a cage fight. Wow, that'd be like
I would love that so much.
The fastest cage fight that ever happened. Yeah, well, I don't think he would accept to be in the same room as me at all.
His weight is my goal weight.
He weighs like
128 pounds.
That's like how much like my thigh weighs. Like it's.
He must be so short, because I'm 5'6". I wonder if he's shorter than I am.
He is short. He's like, wait, you're 5'6"?
I'm 5'6". Yeah.
He's got to be. Yeah, I think he's like about as tall as you. Because every photo I've ever seen of him, he's wearing like those 3-inch fucking lifts, and like you don't do that unless you're like fucking freak short.
Man, 128 pounds for a man, because a 5'6" woman that's 128 pounds is thin, like especially if she works out. But for a man, that's like cadaverous.
Yeah.
I think he's probably like 5. Do you think he's like 5'2"?
He's a little guy. He's probably, I don't know if it's 5'2", but it's probably like 5'3" territory.
Ooh, that sucks. That's a tough break.
Because he'll be wearing those lifts on his shoes and still be the shortest guy in the picture. You know what I mean? Like, he'll be wearing lifts that should at least put him up to like where he's like close to someone's height, but like he's still like noticeably the shortest person in the picture.
Man, that's a bummer.
So he's a little.
It makes me feel bad for him.
Yeah,
but what a tough break for a man.
I don't really care. Fuck him.
I feel for the manlets. It's a bummer.
Nah, I don't know. I mean, some guys, like I had a friend that was he was less than 5 feet tall, and Yeah, and he leaned into it like he was a gymnast, and so like he tried to make it work, like because like oh I can do
What are you gonna do? Yeah.
I'm like all nimble and I can do little backflips and stuff I guess easy, and maybe be like a jet fighter pilot because those guys are all really short. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that guy, he was like a really nice guy, good looking guy. I mean, for like, I mean, he's tiny, but like, he was like if you didn't know that he was, if you just saw like a headshot, you'd be like, oh, he's a good looking guy. Yeah, it's just, he's going to die alone because
Did he ever get laid?
he did like in high school a little bit. And then after high school, I don't know what happened. I think part of it was a confidence thing, right? Like, I think that after, I don't think you can be like that short and not have a confidence thing, like not have a problem.
Yeah.
And because he's a nice guy, he's like, has a good job and, but yeah. But anyway, I feel bad for him, but that's because he's a cool guy. But the people that are short and they get like short person loud syndrome, you know what I mean? Where like they try to make up for it, but like, I'm going to have a big personality instead and because I'm so small. And it's just like, I want to kill you. Like with my bare hands, I want to kill you. I just want to fucking twist your head off like a, I don't know, something that's easily twisted off, like a grape. I don't know. Love in a Vision also says, Devon, I think Christians can be re-educated. I'm afraid that separating Christians from the war for whites is not going to be productive. Well, it depends on what you mean by that. I'm not saying like, look, I'm very aware of the reality that at minimum, Christianity is a legacy system that you can't just wave away, even if you wanted to, right? Like I'm very well aware that to the degree that white people are religious, they're Christian in any meaningful way, right? Like that is far and away the most adhered to white religion. Yeah. And I'm also well aware of the fact that most people on the side of truth and good are also religious. Mm-hmm. And so this is just it's a reality. And I'm not going to be, so don't misunderstand me. I'm not one of these people where I'm envisioning some atheist utopia where, where I feel like the only possible way to remove Jewish influence or to save the white race is through some weird space atheism, space white power atheism or something. I don't even know what it would look like. Like some kind of white power Star Trek shit. But I am saying this.
White power Star Trek.
I'm also not going to just like not mention it because I'm afraid that Christians will start getting butthurt at me and stop watching my show, which does happen, by the way. Christians get, you start talking like this and pointing out the obvious issues. And they're like, oh yeah, I'm just going to watch the guy that says that he's religious instead. And it's like, all right, good luck, buddy.
Right, we need to be mulling these things over because this is a huge problem.
It's a huge problem. It's not an insignificant issue. And I quite frankly just don't hear any good solutions for this problem coming from Christians. I would love to because it would make it so much easier. It'd be so convenient for someone to be like, oh, I found the hack. I found the hack that makes Christianity and white nationalism go hand in hand. And everyone's all you have to do is do this one little trick, like, like the thumbnails, like, oh, here's turn Christianity into Nazi Germany with this one little trick. I want to know what that trick is, and I just don't see it. And I think that the problem is foundational enough to where I don't think that'll happen. But who knows? Who knows? I could be wrong. Maybe I'm just not creative enough, and I'm just not seeing it. But that's my point. Is like, if I don't bring it up, not a whole lot of people will. Like, there's just not a lot of people bringing up this problem. There's a lot of people acting like it doesn't exist, and there's a lot of people acting like their particular brand of Christianity that like 7 people adhere to is the big solution, and it's like it's not. So that's why I bring it up. Supreme Rabbi Satan says, "Oy vey, you better keep an eye on those swarthy Catholics." Yeah, and like I said, look, the thing about the Catholic stuff is like the Pope. I mean, for fuck's sake, it's like a humiliation ritual at this point. Being Catholic, it's like everything that every Catholic has ever told me about how like they're the solution to like the demographic. Like, there's so many Catholics that have like confidently told me that like that's the solution to like white genocide is Catholicism, and that's just so obviously the opposite of the truth. And every time like there's a new pope that's like faggier than the last one, they're like, oh, well, that's just because of Vatican II. And it's just like, shut the fuck up. Like, you can't even fix your own religion. Don't tell me you can fix my fucking country. So let me know when there's like
I totally agree. Yeah.
Let me know when there's a based pope, and they're like, well, we don't pick the pope. It's like, well, then that sounds like a you problem. That sounds like that's a big deal. Like, you can't even what happens if you have like a literal like pro-trans, pro-fag pope, like maybe you already have, but I mean like publicly pro-trans, pro-fag pope. What are you gonna do? Like, oh, goddamn Vatican II. Like, I mean, it's so stupid. It's just like every time I bring this up, well, it literally sounds like when you talk to a Jew and you're like, oh, what about this guy was a Jew? Well, that's not a real Jew. It's like, get the fuck out of here,
Speaking of which, Adam Green is in the chat.
Hey,
Adam. Hey, good to see you.
All right, then we got. Let's see here. Pork Chop Express says, replay gang, Devon. A previous viewer brought up Edgar Steele as a possible stream. Don't know much about him, but his conviction sounds fishy. Might be a good stream for Outlaws too. I don't know who Edgar Steele is. I'll look him up though.
I'll put him in the outline.
In the thing. All right. Then we got Reaver from Craigslist says, would you guys consider doing a stream on labor unions? Would be good to know the history and see the influence on politics today, i.e. how a Jew assassin is part of what derailed the Homestead strike. I'd have to look into that. I'm not sure what you mean. But yeah, I mean, obviously, labor unions had a very cozy relationship with Marxism, communism, and stuff like that. And so the right has this natural hatred of labor unions because of that relationship and that association. But I feel like that's too binary thinking. That's probably a little more nuanced than that. Because it's not like there aren't real problems where there should. I mean, it's not like there isn't a time and a place where workers should pool their I guess bargaining power together.
Collective bargaining, you say?
Well, I mean, to some extent, right? Like, I mean, you look at some of the abuses.
No, I agree. Some of the worker conditions were just abhorrent.
Right. I mean, especially like in industries like mining and whatnot, like, let's see here. Then we got Gorilla Hand says, I hope that both of you had a great 4th of July weekend. Did either of you hear Patriot Front Thomas Rousseau's speech at the rally? It was very inspiring, and he's a better leader than Fuentes.
Oh, yeah. It made me want to stand up and cheer. I've listened to it like 4 times now. I'm going to talk about it on the Reset tomorrow. I think that he is just really emerging as the most feasible leader. I like his persona. I like what he stands for. I really like Patriot Front. I think that they are the real deal. I really do. And, any way that I can support them, if you're in Patriot Front, please let me know.
Yeah, in fact, I think we'd like to have him on and interview him at some point if we can get hold of him. So, yeah, I'd like to. I look. I just don't know him. I'd like to talk to him though. But I've been impressed with what I've seen so far, and obviously, almost anything's better than a gay Mexican. So, yeah, honestly, him being a better leader than it's so funny. The response that Nick had was like, "Oh yeah, I could have done that." I just don't.
He was such a whiny little bitch about it. But I don't want to do this thing of like he's just a better leader than Nick Fuentes. He's solid by any standard. That speech was
because that's a pretty low standard.
Delivered. It is a low standard. I think that speech was perfectly delivered. It was just executed with gusto. It stirred my spirit, and it made me be, proud to be part of what's going on. Like I just thought it was fantastic. It was the best political speech I've heard in my lifetime.
Yeah, it was pretty good. And like I said, I'd like to talk to him. And, I think that it says a lot that they're still around and they haven't, there hasn't been any like big embarrassments for them. There hasn't been any big scandals or like that. And given I'll tell you what, they're hated by all the right people, which is also encouraging. Because when you look on Twitter, all of the people calling them feds or counter signaling them or whatever are all the people that should be scared, quite frankly. They should be scared. And so, including Nick, he should be scared. And so that makes me happy. When I see that kind of a response, it makes me feel like they're onto something.
Well, it made me feel like Fuentes has totally jumped the shark.
Well, he did a long time ago. But
yeah, but it's really solidified now because I've just been waiting for a more serious movement to emerge organically to usurp Fuentes from his, clownish role. And it seems like Russo is the obvious choice.
I could do a Patriot Front if I wanted to. Like that was literally his response.
And this black chick on the subway thing just
that was hilarious.
So perfectly. It was so good. The media coverage was excellent. Like I don't think this could have gone better for them.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing is they've been able to maintain good optics, and I think that. And people are always like, "Oh, well, the feds have infiltrated them." Sure, are you trying to tell me that there's not a single Fed that doesn't pretend to be a groiper online? I mean, give me a fucking break. Like everything's been infiltrated. I'm sure, like. There's feds in the Insomnia stream audience. There's probably a Fed listening to us right now. It is what it is. But if it doesn't matter though. If your organization doesn't do illegal things, then you don't have to worry about it. All you're doing is you're making some Fed have to go do community service somewhere. Like, if that's all you're worried about, here's what we learned from PatCon. I think people took the wrong message from PatCon by assuming that like, oh, the feds are everywhere, they're gonna infiltrate everything, and so we shouldn't do anything. It's like, no, you shouldn't have like a cabin in the woods where you talk about like bombing a synagogue. Like that's what you shouldn't do, because if you do that and there's a Fed, then you go to jail. You shouldn't try to buy hand grenades from some guy you just met the other day that's going to your white supremacist like cookout. That's what you shouldn't do. Right?
No, we have to organize. It's so central to everything that we're trying to do. We got to get this movement off of the internet.
Right.
And that's what Patriot Front is doing, and they're doing it appropriately. And I like their everyone's, why are they masked? Why are they masked? It's like it's the least threatening kind of mask that exists. And all that footage of them talking to people, like white people on the subway, was just lovely. I just thought this was executed just chef's kiss.
Right. No, and that's the thing is like if you're not doing anything illegal and you're creating one really important, it's not just that we have to do stuff IRL because you have to get off the couch. It's that you in order to create a movement, you have to create these bonds between people that can only exist when you are meeting in real life and you are networking. And that's how this nepotism stuff that we always talk about works too. If it's just some random guy DMs me and asks me for a job, or like, hey bro, can you like vouch for me at some like company that like, the guy who runs it? Like, I don't know this guy, but if I've gone to a bunch of events and cookouts and done community service with this guy like 4 or 5 times, and he wants me to like hook him up with a job, I'm infinitely more likely to help him out. And so,
and that's how Patriot Front and Nova operate. Like I needed help planning an event. So I like texted one person from Patriot Front, one person for Nova, and they're like, I've got this guy here and I've got this guy here, and people are calling me, they're scheduling meetings. It was just seamless. They have people on the ground that know each other. They're vetted. I trust them.
And that's where I think people need to start, not just with Patriot Front stuff like what Arval's doing. I think that more and more, and including myself, I think that we need to be doing more IRL activism. And
yeah, and Nick's trying to stop that, which makes me, suspicious. I think it makes him suspect that he's trying, because the thing is that we're not going to eliminate risk. We're incurring some level of risk just by talking about this on the internet. And you can't stop doing things just because Fed infiltration is a virtual inevitability. You just have to know how to deal with them properly. I mean, there have been Feds embedded in like every single organization on the dissident right. And you just have to be the person online, or be the person in real life that you are online. Then like, what are they going to do? They're going to leak videos of you talking about the Jews. Oh no, you mean people are going to find out that I'm an anti-Semite. What a nightmare.
Right. No, and that's the thing is I think, anyone that's trying to counter signal that or stop that is an enemy of the white race. And look, even Alex Jones, he paused for a moment calling them Feds so that he could say that they worked for the SPLC this time. And it's like,
did Alex Jones say that?
He literally said that.
Like recently?
Yeah, like the other day, some leftist was like, "Look at these white supremacists," and Alex Jones replied, "Oh, why are you complaining about your leftist friends that work for the SPLC?"
Oh, good Lord! I did have a bad take on Patriot Front in the beginning, because I just assumed that everybody was a Fed, but I did denounce my previous statements. I think they're the real deal.
Yeah, like I said, that was
a long time ago. That was like 7 years ago or something.
Well, there you go. Look, I think that there are even some more MAGA boomer types that are warming up to this. I did see, in fact, who's that actor that played Hercules? I'm talking about the long-haired guy in the fucking gay ass like Xena Warrior Princess era Hercules TV show.
Evan Sorbo.
Even he, I think, put out a tweet that was like, "Actually, I can see why they would wear a mask because blah 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 blah," And I was like, "Wow, we got Hercules is like warming up to it," We got James Woods the other day, tweeting about white genocide. Now we got Hercules talking about maybe Patriot Fund ain't so bad,
Look at that. And who started it all? It was Ace of Base.
Yeah, so like. I think the tide's turning a little bit, and I think that especially as MAGA itself is losing legitimacy. I mean, it's already been reduced to, I think, a shrinking number of like fanboys and sweepers. It's
QAnon, basically.
Right. At this point, that's all who's still trusting the plan. And then you have the people like the people that watch Nick aren't white anyway. So like I guess the Mexicans don't like him, but I can understand why. And so I think that they have at least they have a chance here as long as they play their cards right. And I'm sure that's going to be a difficult thing to navigate. I feel like that they could be the next big pro-white movement in America.
I think they are. So, I think it's happening.
Yeah, I think so. But we'll see. And like I said, I don't know them personally, but everything I've seen, I thought was positive. So, all right, then we got Gorilla Hands also says, "It seems to me as of late that our nation's law enforcement agencies are becoming incredibly corrupt and incompetent. Add flock cameras, DEI, and AI, our situation is getting very dystopian." Well, I'll tell you what, flock cameras are not exactly the sturdiest pieces of equipment. And I would say that AI is not the most reliable thing in the world either. And I think that you are right in that it will facilitate, it will augment the capabilities of DEI law enforcement types to have AI, and it will be. It's not a problem we can ignore, but at the same time, don't overestimate the capabilities that this white man's technology has in the hands of brown people.
Yeah.
So, and like I said, in terms of like hardware, like the flock cameras and things like that, look, everything that's electronic has a vulnerability. And with flock cameras, there's a lot of them, both physical and digital. Let's see here. We got Gorilla Hands also says, "I'm half a potato nigga, you racist." So there we go.
Hey, the stuff with the Irish right now is, I love the Irish. I really do. Violence.
I'm breaking the law rules by reading these $5 ones, so I'm not gonna do that anymore. Sorry, sorry, Dagtastic. I appreciate it, but rules are rules. Rabbi Baby Foreskin Eater says, "My comment last week about Devon having a face for radio was an attempt at humor, not a dig. The effort that goes into producing content is appreciated." That's okay.
Dude, I have this urge to simp for Devon. I don't know what it is.
Oh, you're just trying to. I can't. It's because it doesn't work. If I stick up for myself, I'm like, no, actually, I'm not ugly, guys.
I'm so handsome.
Yeah, it'll have the opposite effect. So.
But I feel like I have to defend your honor.
It's all good. It's all good. I don't even care if people think I'm ugly, because it's like if I was actually ugly, I'd probably really care a lot. I'd probably be like, "Oh, shut up, guys."
Leave me alone.
In fact, if I was good, no, I'm actually a handsome Chad. Then you would know I wasn't.
Maybe it has nothing to do with Devon, but I feel like attractive people should be rewarded in this day and age, because I go out in public and everyone's so fucking ugly, so ugly, and I'm like, you should not legally be able to procreate. You're so ugly. And so when people are good looking, I hear a lot of people say like, "Oh, you shouldn't praise people for things that they aren't in control." I'm like, that's all we should praise people for.
Have you been to a Walmart?
Who cares about that?
Have you been to I don't know if are the Walmarts where you're at, like where I'm at, like
fucking terrible.
Like, it's just like, who are these people?
Yeah.
I mean, that would be the trick. Like, if we wanted to have eugenics, we would just start at the Walmarts. Like, anyone in a Walmart past 10 o'clock at night would just be instantly gassed. All right, we got let's see here. Godzilla Hands says, Hangar 18, I know too much. What's that a reference to? Hangar 18?
I don't know.
Does that ring any bells? Oh, it's a movie. Hangar 18, 1980 movie. American science fiction film about a government cover-up about a crashed UFO. Interesting. Godzilla Hands knows about the UFOs at Area 51. Rivers of Blood says, while I am no fan of Eisenhower, he is an example of a recently elected leader that did physically expel a large number of spics. Perhaps a stream over that event to cover what worked and what didn't. Yeah, Operation Wetback is what he's talking about. Yeah, it didn't work well enough. I mean, certainly not no lasting effects. But again, I don't know that it would be good to know, because I don't know logistically. I mean, you hear about it, right? And they say like, oh yeah, they had buses and they were like rounding them all up, and there's like photos of it, and it looks really cool. But I mean, obviously they didn't go through Chicago and clean out, throw Nick's family in a bus because he's here. So I mean, like, obviously some of them stayed here, right? Like there was already a lot of Mexican. Like, what year was that? That was like the fifth, or was that the 50s? I want to say it was like the 50s sometime. But yeah, I mean, maybe we should do, that's not a bad idea at all. We should do Operation Wetback as a stream to see exactly like how many did they actually deport? What did they actually do? How much money went into it? What kind of, because that's the other thing too, is legally, how'd they get it done? And was it just, because I don't know the answers to the question. Like, was it like a presidential, like, was it like an EO, like an executive order, or was it like something through Congress? I don't know. So maybe that's something to look at. Let's see here. We got Professor Chaos says, I recently watched The Killer, Taco Bell Nig, and another piece of shit that still lives is Jamie Osuna. Maybe stream worthy, maybe not, but look into what happened in his celly in prison. Jamie Osuna. You can add that to our our notes there. All right, thank you very much. Then we got Godzilla Hands. Country that's divided surely will not stand past erased. No more disgrace. No foolish, naive stand. End is near. It's crystal clear. I'm starting to think this is like a song. Part of the master plan. Don't look now. Israel may be your homeland. I don't know what. Are you quoting something or just smoking a lot of pot right now and trying to freestyle? But I don't know. Whatever it is, Godzilla Hands, appreciate that. Then we got Tomahawk. Says, I was raised Catholic, left the faith as a teen. My best friend was raised Mormon and left his faith as a teen. We had wonderful conversations about religion. Yeah, I would say because I in high school, all of my friends were either I'd say a minority of them I'd say were bad Mormons like me, pot smoking, beer drinking Mormons, or they were pot smoking, beer drinking Catholics. And that was pretty much it. And there was a couple Protestants in the mix.
Oh yeah.
But mostly not. Like, because in Albuquerque, it was like a lot of Mexicans and there's a lot of Catholics there.
The girls from the Catholic schools in my town were just whores. Crazy whores.
Well, yeah, there's a song about that.
What? Oh, is it a Billy Joel song?
No, it's a Red Hot Chili Peppers song.
Only the Good Die Young is also about deflowering a Catholic virgin.
Oh.
God, I hate Billy Joel. That
fucking
hideous kike. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I'm just saying it. It's just happening.
Well, it's just might as well
it feels good.
Once you say it once, every time, it's just like centuries of oppression are just leaking.
Do you know what other story is kind of a feel good story? Have you been following this looks maxer that drowned?
Oh, yeah. I never heard of it before, but I did see it, and I
was laughing so hard I could barely breathe.
Well, someone posted, and it ended up like not being what they said it was, but it was a video of him. He took a video of himself fucked up on drugs, and someone had said, "Oh, this is the last video he posted before he like drowned himself or whatever." But it wasn't. But he was on drugs, and so there's a video of him where he's just like completely, more fucked up than, well, I don't want to say that I've ever been, but certainly that I've ever been on video. And it's just like, holy shit, this guy's out of his mind. No wonder he, wasn't he like in some kind of East Asian, he was like, where was he?
Yeah, he did ayahuasca and I don't know, whatever the fuck country, and then lost his mind and got like really into psychedelics, and it all started with the looks maxing thing. Like the ultimate way to harness your masculinity is to like just be a strong guy without being a faggot.
Right.
That's what women want. Have you seen, Evie posted about this, but there's like this picture of this shredded guy and then like this strong, bulky guy who's a little soft. Like, men think that women lie about liking the guy on the left. I'm like, no. I look at the guy on the right that's totally chiseled. I'm like, that guy sucks dick for sure. I cannot be the only one that's not lying about this.
Well, it's not only that; it's just like that body comes with a definite time commitment to maintain, right, and a level of obsession, self-obsession, because
self-obsession, yes.
In order to maintain, like you have to prioritize your looks to a degree that makes you a weirdo. To be a guy like that, like you have to be like that. Has to be like your thing. Now that will work if you're with a girl who's also like that, and like I don't want to say the golden one is like a weirdo, but like he's obviously like really into working out, and he's got a wife that's really into working out. Yeah, so that works, right? So if you're also really into working out, then that's fine. But like most people, like they're not that into working out. And so there are ways that you could, like that guy could find someone that's going to be into it. Right. But the average girl, I don't think, even if they say they want it, it's like that with girls too, by the way, like guys that are like, oh, I want this girl that she's like a fucking perfect 10. And then you actually go out with a girl that's like that. And you're like, wow, this sucks.
Yeah.
So it comes with a cost is what I'm saying. Let's see here. Then we got Godzilla Hands again says, "Where are the legs with which you run? Huru huru. Where are the legs with which you run? When first you went to carry a gun, indeed your dancing days are done. Johnny, I hardly knew ya."
Should I know this? I know there's going to be people in the chat that are like, "You don't know what he's talking about, you stupid bitch."
I have
Like,
no idea.
I don't know.
I don't know what this is. Book Track Groove says Matthew 24, 7 through 8. "For nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom, and there will be famines and earthquakes in various places. All these are but the beginning of the birth pains." All right.
Thanks, Book Track Grooves.
There we go. Then we got Godzilla Hands again says the Templars took an oath of poverty, which is why their original image is 2 men and 1 horse. If the Templars could rough things up in poverty, what can we do? New religion is needed separate.
Am I retarded? Did something happen to my brain processing center where I can't get read text into my brain in a cohesive way? Or do these make no sense?
Well, no, Godzilla Hands sounds like he's on drugs.
Okay, good. All right.
Sorry, Godzilla Hands. I feel like you're either under the influence of something or just you're on a different vibe than I am right now, because I'm also not 100% picking up what you're. This last I'm not totally. I kind of get it. I mean, you're saying that the Templars took a vow of poverty, and they were able to kick ass, and so we could do it with modern technology, I'm guessing. But some of these other ones are a little out there, like that little one before that. Book Track Groove says Stone Choir would have a word on your thought on Stone Choir would have a word on your thought on software logic. Okay, that doesn't make sense to me. Blonde, how much of the Bible have you read? Devon, all people.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Devon, all people needs to believe in the supernatural. All right, you go first.
I've read a lot of the Bible, not in its entirety. Some of the Old Testament is really boring and hard to read. Really hard to read, but I've read a lot of the Bible. Yeah.
I will say this. I would like to believe in the supernatural, but I do not believe in the supernatural. And I don't feel a need to believe in the supernatural. I believe in the supernatural in the same way that I fancifully, I indulge around Christmas time. I like to believe that there's a Santa. I know there's not, but I like believing that there is. And I don't I don't cynically, when I was a kid, I wasn't the one that was like, Santa's not real. I like the idea of I don't know, a Bigfoot or a tooth fairy or I like, when I was a kid, I liked fantasy novels to some extent, Lord of the Rings and stuff like that. But I'm also, like I said, I just can't get around my autism engineer brain. I need to have evidence for the things that I actually believe in. And I don't have a burning desire for anything more than that. I'm perfectly happy with if there's no supernatural, I'm perfectly okay if I'm just a really smart monkey that dies and that's it. I'm okay with that. Nothing, I'm not annoyed by that at all. In fact, I feel kind of lucky that I got to exist, because under those circumstances, being in a situation where I can exist and not exist is what if I was really unlucky and I ended up being born a nigger? I mean, that would be a travesty, so I feel like I kind of really lucked out, in terms of the existence that I get to experience. And I don't really.
Being white is awesome. It is elite. Let me tell you.
Yeah. So I'm not really bothered by it at all. And I don't feel like, oh, there needs to be something more than this. It'd be nice, I guess. I mean, or maybe it wouldn't be, because who knows? Maybe maybe it would give me, I don't know. I don't feel a need for it though. I would say that for some people that's true. There are some people that fear death, or for some other reason, really need that to be true to get through. My mom's one of them. Like my mom, here's an example. My mom lost her mother to breast cancer when I was like 8, and she was probably like 30 or something like that. And it fucked her up. And if she did not believe 100%, 110% that she was going to see her again and be reunited with her again with the rest of her family in heaven when she died, I don't know that she would have been able to like manage it. And so I see that as a good thing that she, it helped her manage that, and helped her, get through life. And I think there's a lot of people that find that comforting, and I'm just not one of them. I just don't care that much, If if I die and like there's nothing, I won't know, So that's not. I'm not. I won't even be disappointed. So, see, worst case scenario, I won't know, and best case scenario is I will know. And even if it's hell, it'll be more interesting than not existing, right? So I'll be like, all right, well, this is different. So I'm not that bothered by it. Let's see here. We got TMK 1335 says we definitely need some kind of religious reboot. Who's the guy in chat who keeps suggesting that new racist space conqueror religion? Tell him I'm in. There's a guy who keeps wanting to start a space colonization religion. Or I'm being reductive, but I feel like that's kind of what he's getting at. And I like the idea, kind of, but it's also kind of like, all right, I don't know if we're, I don't know if that's got mass appeal. Maybe.
It appeals to me. If I could make white nationalist Star Trek happen.
Well, that's what he wants to do, is like he wants to basically make the aspiration of white people to part of our identity to be that we continuously spread out and colonize the universe. And so it is kind of like this never-ending quest, which you kind of need in a religion, right? It needs to be like this thing that you never really will accomplish. And so for generations, it'll just keep going because you're never going to achieve. It's not like, and then we win. Like that never happens. So it has that infinite carrot, that's like always just out of reach. But you can always make steps towards. There's a lot of positive things about it, right? So because I thought about it, I was like, it's not the worst idea, but I don't know if you can get like most people to be like, we're going to be space racists, and maybe who knows? This guy is signing up. All right, Denise the Celt says, FYI, Natalie Lloyd and her husband Davy Lloyd were the missionaries murdered by the Haitian Ferals. Her dad was a Jew-op, Senator Ben Baker. They were incredibly sweet, idealistic, and racially suicidal. Yeah, that's the problem, is a lot of these people, they are some of the kindest people, but I almost feel like that's what's so horrible about this software, is it makes the best of, because I think some people would argue that, oh, well, it's the religion that made them these really sweet, nice people. And I would say there's no real evidence that that's what's going on, but there is evidence that these sweet, nice people are now dead because of it. And so who's to say that they wouldn't have been just like really sweet, nice people that would have been more racially oriented had they had a religion that was more racially oriented. But yeah, that's often the case. These, some of the worst things are the best intentions. Lionheart 75 says, I went to buy a Fram oil filter the other day, and they were out of stock in 2 different stores. Turns out they went out of business because their parent company, ran by 2 Indian brothers, were embezzling literally billions of dollars from Fram. This has been a staple in the industry since the 1930s. The American factories in small towns, which are now shuttered because of these Indians, might make for a good outlaw stream. Also worth noting, distributism rather, employee ownership of the business would have likely prevented this and the problems you saw at Gateway. Yeah, I didn't know that about Fram. I know what you're talking about though, because my dad was a mechanic when I was a kid, and when he was younger, that's how he put himself through school and everything. That's kind of crazy because that was like the brand. Um, it's also as far as like employee ownership of companies. That is like that's a good arrangement to have, but I don't know if that should be something that should be compulsory.
Yeah.
That starts to look that's I guess a little too close to communism. Then we got Denise the Celt says, I pray to my Celtic gods and I do believe in them. And they answer, I'm sorry you have no faith, Devon. Well, look, if you believe in them, hey, like I said, there's always going to be someone, right? But like I said, I don't think that there's a, well, this is traditional. Like, I don't know, like outside of America, maybe there is like some long tradition of people that still believe in some paganism more in Europe, but at least in terms of America, because the founding stock was obviously not pagan, right? That's not like something that traces back. So it's usually either someone that brought it here from Europe, or it's someone LARPing as someone who brought it here from Europe,
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's, but hey, look, if it works for you, whatever, all right, then we got Lionheart says, might make for a good outlaw stream. Also worth noting, we already did that one. Book Track Groove says, Devon, if I take an arrow for you, can I be your leader? Do you need more tech and stakes? Cheer up, blonde. Look for clues and buy logic puzzle books.
Logic puzzle books. Okay.
I have no idea about the arrow and stake thing. I don't know what you're... So many nonsense super chats tonight. It makes me feel like I'm high. It's like, am I just reading these wrong?
Residual highness from the 10 years that I smoked copious amounts of marijuana.
If only it was only 10 years. Then we got Godzilla Hands says, if Protestants could separate from Catholics, why not separate again? All religions have been compromised at this point. Time to pick a new path, similar but different. No more empty promises. Yeah, well, here's the thing, though. Protestants separated. I don't know the whole history. I know the basic, Martin Luther, all that stuff, but I don't know what political forces were at play and all that. I don't know the whole history in detail enough to know. It was. I will tell you this. I guarantee it was more than just like one guy was like, "Let's stop being Catholic," and then there was Protestants. Like there was more to it than that. Could there be like another, Reformation of sorts? I don't know. Maybe. Yo Jimbo Rockford says, have either of you used Gab AI? If not, why not? I figure if Torba isn't Jewish, it might be more based.
I haven't. Maybe I should. I forgot about Gab. I just forgot about it.
I've used it. I haven't used it in a long time, and I'll tell you why. It was because I was getting inferior results, and I started using other AIs. Now, that said, the technology has changed a lot since then, and maybe I will revisit it, because I would rather use his AI if it's going to be able, if it's capable of doing, because I use AI for a lot of stuff, like a lot of different stuff. And I use a lot of different AIs. I don't just use one. I use Grok, I use ChatGPT, I use Claude, I use Gemini, and I use them against each other sometimes when like you're having trouble getting the straight answer. So you'll ask the exact same prompt of like 4 different AIs and then compare notes and see what's going on. And like I said, I gave Gab a try, even like paid for it for a little bit. But I just wasn't getting the results that I needed. but maybe that was like over a year ago. So maybe it's different now. I'm sure it's different now, but I'll have to take a look at it. Tomahawk says, I feel like white nationalists need to find a way to identify each other out in the wild without normies having a clue. I have no idea how to do it though. I don't think we need like a secret handshake or anything like that. I don't know how you could implement it
Hey,
because
that'd be cool.
Well, I mean, if you could do it, but I don't know, how would you implement that? How would you tell all the other white people secretly without the normies finding out that you had some secret thing that you were doing? You know what I mean? Like, how would you do it?
I don't know. We could make something up.
It should be really ridiculous, though, whatever it is. Like loudly smack yourself in the left ear while going, hey, what's going on? What the fuck's wrong with that guy? Oh, he just hates niggers. That's all. Oh, so that could be our secret our secret handshake. All right, we got Paulo Eagleton. Christianity is a religion entirely based on Jewish myth. As a race, we must transcend it, even though it's been such a big part of our identity and history. Yeah, I know what you're saying, and that's a tough one for people to. I mean, because you're basically asking people to throw the faith that they were raised on out, and that's a big ask. It's it's hard enough to just get the average person to accept things like Israel has undue influence in America, you know, to also tell them, oh, and Jesus is made up. They'll be like, what? like you gotta, baby steps here. I mean,
I'm not laughing at this chat. I'm still thinking about your
chat. Oh, What's up, Nick? Can you imagine,
why can't we do this?
We should do it. Then we got Kira Kirsten says, Adam Green is right. Thanks for the stream. There we go. Then we got scroll. The Great Wahite says, somewhat of a random question. Any idea what was up with the mad Russian Rasputin? Rogue member of the tribe? ? Thanks, Outlaws.
I don't know enough about it to opine. What about you?
I don't either, but I looked into that a very long time ago, and I don't think I got a satisfactory answer.
Yeah.
It would make sense in a lot of ways, but I don't know that it's known. I don't know that there's a whole lot even really known about the guy. He is kind of just a mysterious figure, but I don't know for sure. Maybe. Well, let me look. I'll do a quick ask of the. We're talking about AI. I'll ask AI if Rasputin was Jewish. I'm sure it'll say no, even if he was.
It always tells me.
Let's see here. Grigory Rasputin, ethnicity, religion, and ancestry. Grok is on it right now. He's looking.
Give me my shoe back. This dog.
All right. According to Grok, he was a Russian peasant born in 1869 in the remote Siberian village of Pokrovskoye, in what is now the Tyumen Oblast, to Orthodox Christian parents. So he was an Orthodox Christian, according to Grok. All right. Scroll. Which again, that's just Grok saying who knows, but I'll look in. I remember I looked into it at one point. Rocco D2 says, dog days of summer haven't hit. Here's some money. Keep that kitty churro hydrated. He's been gone for about 24 hours, which is weird because it's so hot outside. But I know he has other places he goes. It's just he's stuck
just banging all the neighborhood cats.
Right, and he's stuck around pretty consistently for like the last week and a half. So he was due to go out for a romp. So he's probably out slumming it with like the, like the shitty desert cats that are out there making babies. But hopefully he comes back tonight. He usually comes back either when it starts to get really hot or right at around midnight, right as I'm trying to get some sleep. Let's see here. Then we got Skipopolis with a big dono. Generous dono from Skipopolis. And Skipopolis says, I spent 1 hour trying to drop a hyper chat through Odyssey. I failed. You two need to split. As a Catholic, not only am I German, Italian, and Irish, I have a Rottweiler Pit Bull mix.
Put
Sleep
that dog
well.
down.
Yeah, there's just so much biological abomination in that super chat. Had you not been so generous, I'd be very more disappointed in you. But clearly you're successful enough to put your money where your mouth is. No, look, German. Not a problem at all. Italian? What, are we talking Southern Italian or... And Irish? Irish, I don't have as big... We kid mostly with the Irish. I don't have much of a problem with the Irish. I feel like most of the genetic trash Irish have never made it through the meat grinder of America.
Oh my God.
I feel like there was like the ones that are in like the nativist cartoons, like the monkey ones, like let me bring it up here. Like I love these monkey ones. Like they like I feel like these Irish, they didn't survive, like they came to America and they got murdered and they turned into prostitutes and like got left for dead in alleys after being raped to death and stuff like that. I feel like that genetic refuse was like taken care of by the harsh conditions of 19th century America, and we've kind of whittled it down to like some of the more high performing, less monkey style Irish. So if that's the Irish you got, then that's, if you're like more like, Conan O'Brien Irish, where it's like, it's a little iffy, kind of faggy Irish, but, the monkey Irish has mostly been taken care of, I think. I haven't seen like a monkey Irish in a long time. I have seen them. They do exist. Like, have you seen that? Like the monkey, I'm talking about the Irish that looks literally like this cartoon. They do exist.
Yeah, we got some white monkey looking folks.
Yeah,
it happens.
Like if you've ever been to Boston, you're gonna run into at least one monkey Irish. That's where they seem to congregate. I think it's like where they produce the monkey Irish. That's like the low class. Like every once in a while, like Bill Burr comes out of that mess, and they're funny, so we like let it fly. All right, you're kind of a genetic mess, and you're gonna end up marrying a nigger, but you're kind of funny for like a little bit, so we'll let you out. So, all right, then we got but yeah, thank you very much, Skipopolis. But yeah, the Pitbull mix, I don't know, the mix. I don't know. I don't have a problem with do Rottweilers have a bad reputation? I know they're scary.
They're aggressive, but
are they? Because I thought they just looked scary. I didn't know they were actually scary, but maybe they are. All right, then we got Drofwark. Drofwark says neo-Nazis new and improved, now with extra Waffen. What, like a neo-Nazi? What would that be? We have to think of a fancy term for a neo-Nazi. All right, then we got Evergreen Dream says, I joined late, and I've been wondering why Daniel Day-Lewis has been on the screen for the past hour. Guess I'll find out tomorrow. Also surprising to learn Blonde is 5'6". She's basically Dr. Ruth. That's not that short for a girl.
That's 2 inches taller than average.
Yeah, that's like normal girl height. Short is like 5'2" or something like that.
Yeah.
And Dr. Ruth was like 4'8". Like she was something crazy short. Drof Work says 666, the number of the beast. 1-800-666, the toll-free number of the beast. What I don't know. What is these super chats are just, they're all out of left field.
Everyone's wasted.
I feel like everyone's just like saying random shit. These seem like early AI like chatbot responses.
Yeah.
You know, like the first versions of AI that would just be like, this might be on topic. 666 1-800 the beast or something. All right, then we got Beach Goy says, rewatched the DC Snipers episode the other day. Shame all those innocent people were Jamaicoed. That's true. All these people got Jamaicoed. All right, then we got a huge dono from XX Herp Derp XX. Massive dono. Says, catching the replay. Rumble doesn't like cock. What? Cock-Lee emails? What's Cock-Lee emails? Cock space L-I space emails.
I don't know.
None of these make any sense. No. Not even
Thank you so much. Thank you. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, we do, but still, none of these make any sense. I don't know what the Cock-Lee email means, but I do appreciate the big dono and hope you enjoy the replay herp derp. That's very kind of you. Very kind of you. All right, then we got Daywalker Jones says, first time catching the Outlaws live. You two make a great team, rather. Secret white code phrase, this roof sure could use a hole in it. That's not bad.
I like it. I think we make a good team too.
We should, and we need to make some merch for fuck's sake. We could have been selling roof hole shirts this whole time. And I even made the graphic. I never fucking did the thing. We'll have roof hole shirts before next stream. I promise. How about that? And that'll be the secret white supremacy code is you wear a roof hole, get in a roof hole shirt. And that's how people will know. And every white person must buy one from us. Otherwise, you're not really white. All right. Then we got Stormy Heart says, if I was working, I'd send a pile of money. But as a stay-at-home mom, I have to ask husband for super chat money. He said yes, because Pale Siren and Rocket Pixie have become our summer soundtrack. All right.
Nice.
All right. Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, like I need to make some more of that. It takes time. It takes time for me to, I don't just churn those out. Like usually by the time one of those songs is done, it's like literal, no exaggeration. It's like generation 500 by the time it's like perfect enough. Cause I'm a psycho. Like I will sit there and I'll be like, she said that one word slightly wrong. Oh, she did this.
You're autistic, Devon. You're an undiagnosed spurg.
No, it's bad. Like I will sit there and it'll be like, I will there's been times where like it's 10 o'clock at night and I'll be like, oh good, I have a little bit of time to maybe work on a song. And then like the sun's coming up and I've been listening to the same 30 seconds of one song
Oh my God.
from that whole time. And I'll think about it and I'll be like, I've listened to the same 30 seconds, like literally like 1,000 times. And that's just how, but anyway, I'm glad that it pays off. I'm glad that people actually like it. They are upgrading the AI too. They're adding some features. Like some of the things I want them to add is like, the ability to, I'm not going to release it. They let you clone your own voice. Like because at first I was like, oh, well, I'll sing into the thing and I'm sure it'll make me a better singer because it's AI. It'll figure out that like I can't sing and it'll just make me able to sing, but it'll sound like my voice and then I can make songs with my voice, right? No, it does not fix your voice. Like if you can't sing for real, like you can't sing when they clone your voice. And so it just makes like these horrific, horrible, and it made me sound black too. So it's like,
oh no, this is your worst nightmare.
It's like black off-key Devon trying to sing. Like it's horrible, but like I think they're getting better with the technology, and so I'm hoping I'll be able to do more stuff with that later. All right, then we got and for those who don't know, You can just go on YouTube or on Spotify. Actually, Spotify is better for me. And look up Pale Siren or Rocket Pixie. All right, we got Stormy Heart says, if I was working. Oh, wait, we just did that one. Night Train says, oy vey. Well, I appreciate that, Night Train. And then we got Team White says, just came across your live show. Good topic. I'll watch the whole thing later on. Thanks to you both. Well, I appreciate that. Team White. See, this is what I'm talking about, putting race first. That is my number one priority. White continuity. White continuity.
Yep.
All right. Then we got, sorry, Drawfork, you're below the limit. So I'm going to have to.
I had a bunch come on over on my end if you want me to read those out.
I'm still going. We're almost done. Book Track Grooves. No. Book Track Grooves says, Devon, here is a clear chat for you. Bunny, 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 bunny. There we go, right? Well, what are you going to do? All right. Then we got Amazing Disgrace says, got here late, but can't wait to go back and hear what I missed. I love the Whitman's movie and hope for more history based on source material. Yeah, we should do. I was looking for articles, contemporary articles about this, but there was tons of them, and the old timey language and the length of the articles from 1850 made it like really difficult to do something that would translate well to having AI read it, because it was just like it. Like even I started reading these because it's like pages long, and I just got to the point where instead of having AI transcribe it, I was just like, just summarize this for me. Like, what does this mean? All right, now we can go to the YouTube ones that you've got over there.
Okay, sure. We have Ben. Did y'all's ancestors only start arriving after the mid 1500s? My earliest was 1607.
Mine was the original Dutch colonies in New Amsterdam. And it would have been early 1600s, I think, but it's possible it's late 1500s, but I don't know the exact year. You're muted, by the way.
Sorry, my dog was freaking out. My parents had to come and let her in. Let's see. We have Stephen Campbell. I'll read one of these. Yeah, but PF are Feds, fantastic ethno-nationalist, delightful Saxons. I agree. Thank you. El Franco says, it is I, the live Puerto Rican from the West Side stream you did 2 years ago. I was wondering if you and Rebecca could do a stream on David Berg and his pseudo-Christian cult. I will put that in the notes. We got like
I did do one
7 suggestions. You did already? Damn.
I'm almost positive.
That Devon doesn't even know. He gets all butthurt when he does a stream and I don't remember, but he doesn't even remember. Sometimes.
Well, that just sounds really. Yeah, no. Oh wait, isn't this the guy that was diddling kids? I'll pop it
in here anyway. Big donation from Jacob Winkleman. Thank you so much. Thank you for your work, guys. Thank you. And then my last one is from Dusty Rhodes. Devon, did you ever do a video on Schindler's List?
I just thought it was too easy.
What are you gonna do? It's time for that low-hanging fruit.
I've talked about how they purposely did it in black and white so your brain would confuse it with historic footage. You know what I mean? Like, and
yeah.
and stuff like that. But there's been people I've heard people mention scenes that were scenes from Schindler's List as if they were like History Channel footage. Like, oh yeah, I remember this happened. And you're like, no, that's Steven Spielberg. That's not war footage, you know?
We're good over here.
Yeah. We are good over here as well. I'm almost positive.
Thank you guys so much. You were so generous tonight. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed our discussion. It was not contentious. You know, Devon and I are buds. We're always trying to hammer this one out because this is an ongoing struggle. The struggle of my faith and reconciling my deep-seated racism. So, you know.
And look, and I don't have animus towards Christians, and I obviously, like I said, like that, I wanted to make that clear because I think there's a lot of people that get, you know, especially there's a lot of Christians that are very touchy and start thinking you're like, you know, some kind of like you're trying to attack my faith, and you know, you're an antichrist. Sorry, if you're like that, then you're not race first. Sorry, you're just you don't.
Yeah.
If you don't get what I'm saying, then you're part of the problem. Honestly, if you don't have the self-awareness enough to at least appreciate what I'm saying, then you're exactly the problem I'm talking about. So it's all meant as, you know, like I said, it's all meant as let's brainstorm and fix this, because ultimately what I want, and hopefully what you want, is the survival of the white race more than literally anything else. More than anything else is what I want. That's what I want.
Yeah.
So,
well, thank you. I am Rebecca Hargraves. We will see you next week. If you're watching, I think we have 2 tickets available to my New York City event on July 18th. Go to my pinned tweet on blondes_tweets for all the information if you want to slide in there at the very end. We have 2 left. And I think that even that we're going to overbook, but if you want to try to get on, I think I can make it happen. You can find me on The Reset with Cameron McGregor on Thursdays at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on my YouTube channel, Blonde in the Belly of the Beast.
And you can check out the Insomnia stream by going to, if you're on Rumble right now, going exactly right here on Saturday, 10 o'clock p.m. Pacific time. You go to blackpill.com, which redirects to the Odyssey page, which I might change to redirecting to the Rumble page, as Odyssey kind of is getting less and less, but I'm hanging on to. I'm hoping that maybe, you know, they turn things around over there, and because it's where all the OGs hang out. Anyway, hope you guys have a great rest of your week. I'll see you Saturday.
Bye-bye.